See live on 1800 700 700 or contact a participating GP or pharmacy from the HSE. For us all.
And now, it's time for the talk of the Northwest. The 9 to Noon Show with Greg Hughes on Highland Radio.
And a very good morning to you. 5 minutes past 9 on this Thursday, the 1st of September 2022. It's another month, it's another show. You're very welcome along to it. Get involved. We want to hear from you this morning. 08660 25,000. If you have something you want to get off your chest. Already this morning, a caller says, driving from Bridgend to Letterkenny this morning at about 8 a.m. The fog pretty dense, yet no other motorists had their lights on. Okay, someone spotted that already this morning. If you've got something to say and you want to give us a call, it's 07491 25,000, 07491 25,000. Emails to comments at highlandradio.com, and you can interact with us on our social medias as well, because we are streaming live there. Highland Radio Ireland on YouTube and across our Facebook pages. Say hello. Or if you want to watch in browser, go to our website, and it is highlandradio.com. All right. It's another busy show, starting off with a busy look at the newspapers because it's Thursday and there's lots of them are out. Let's start with the Tyrconnell Tribune. With more Ukrainians due to arrive in Milford shortly, the Tribune wishes to confirm that the paper has not been in receipt of any responses to their queries from Donegal County Council on the issues raised with them in the past week. The issues relate to the turnkey development of 17 houses where members of local families expected to be housed. Councillor Ian McGarvey said he's been trying to contact the council's housing department for over a week, ever since the news that Ukrainians were to be housed in Milford on a turnkey development, and nobody is available to call him back. However, Councillor John O'Donnell said he'd been in receipt of correspondence on Wednesday afternoon stating the council confirms that it remains committed to proceeding with the acquisition of the 17 properties in Milford at this time under the turnkey programme for allocation to approved applicants on the social housing waiting list with a preference for Milford. However, the council now understands that the developer may have alternative plans for the properties. Meanwhile, the Cahirloch, Liam Blaney, said that Roderick O'Gorman, the Minister for Equality and Integration, had made it clear that refugees coming into Ireland would not impact on social housing plans. And we heard the same comments from a minister on this programme. The reality, said Councillor Blaney, is that locals waiting to be housed have lost out, and that should not have happened. Okay, much more on that story in that paper today. A bit of investigative journalism there. The Derry People Donegal News. Businesses in Letterkenny are facing a perfect storm with rising energy costs and the prospect that retail and services may suffer as the cost of living crisis bites households hard this winter. Electricity prices have more than doubled, and heating oil is on the rise again as retailers and restaurant owners struggle to hold prices, conscious that their customers have less money to spend. Opening hours have been reduced to save on costs, while IBEC, the small business representative group, is calling for a significant immediate package of emergency energy supports. And obviously there's been a recent doubling of electricity prices, and we'll talk about some increases for residential customers in a moment. But that's off the back of a quadrupling of prices prior to that. So the prices increased fourfold and then doubled. So it's been huge. We're going to be speaking, I think, to business owners a little later on about the rising cost of electricity. I mean, there has to come a point, and many of you out there in business may well have already reached it, that you are losing money based on having to pay your ESB bill or whatever provider you're with. If you want to help tell that story, 08660 25,000, and it's quite rightly pointed out as well, discretionary spending amongst those even who aren't necessarily struggling to meet everyday bills, discretionary spending now is going to reduce. And, that coupled with the rising costs, businesses seeing less through the door, remains to be seen what this winter holds. But if you are a business person and you want to give us a sense of the impact of the increasing costs on your business and maybe even the future of your business, well, get in contact with us. I think a lot of hotels that would open through winter, maybe, I don't know what capacity they'd expect, 20, 30, 40% if they're lucky capacity, keeping an entire building of that size warm and lit. They might be having to rethink that this year. Of course, already some restaurants, some hotels might close for parts of the winter at least. But I just wonder, will more particularly those that aren't housing refugees, will they have to consider? If you're in business and you want to give us an insight and help tell that story so your customers and your clients can understand, get in touch with us, 07491 25000 or WhatsApp and text 086 60 25,000. The Democrat this morning, millions of euro that is available to assist coastal communities around Donegal could go unclaimed unless action is taken shortly. That was the stock message this week from the Donegal chairperson of the Fisheries Local Action Group's initiative, Stephen McCahill. The Ardra man said at least 3.5 million in funding opportunities existed for local companies, groups and individuals, but unless the process is put in place to avail of this, the money will be lost to the county. And that could affect future allocations, I'd imagine. Established in 2013, the FLAG initiative uniquely focuses on development funding specifically for fisheries and aquaculture areas within 10 kilometres of the sea around the entire coast. So if you are a local group and you've got local plans for your area, there is a funding stream there. You should really look into it and see if it's something that you could apply for. I think those who sort of deal with those applications can be very helpful too in ensuring that you are successful if you qualify. The Derry news this morning, as Derry and the Northwest prepared to lay friends Bevan Simon and Joseph Sebastian to rest, both just 16 years of age. Taoiseach Micheál Martin expressed his deepest sympathies to their families. Friends Raven and Joseph tragically lost their lives in Ina Loch on the outskirts of the city on Monday evening. Extending his condolences, Mr. Martin said, "Our hearts go out to their families. We can all imagine young people going out to enjoy a beautiful summer's afternoon, and for it to end in such tragedy, people availing of and using a water amenity, which we all have done in our different times." It's incredibly sad indeed. And our thoughts very much with the families. The Nationals now, and I mean the national newspapers today really, and I'm not picking stories out to make this point, but there are two stories here. There's the stories of the elected and the wealthy, and then the stories of the reality for us, just regular people living in this country. There's two different worlds going on. But anyway, let's start with the Irish Independent. Dole deputies will see their salaries rise by more than €6,500 to nearly 108,000 a year under the new public sector pay deal negotiated by the government. Now, this is not just government TDs, let's be clear. This is all TDs. They'll get €6,500 of an increase, bringing their salaries to €108,000 per year. It could result in their being paid a lump sum of more than $2,275 in November under a provision for a 3% increase in 2022 backdated to February. This is the backdated payment that I was talking of yesterday that was being incorrectly reported in the papers yesterday. Senators, they also get a bump. They'll see a similar bullet payment of nearly €1,600. Wouldn't that be lovely? Can you imagine being in a job whereby €2,275,000 if you're a TD or €1,600 just landed into your bank account? I mean, you wouldn't have to worry about electricity price increases. You would say, do you know what, that bullet payment will sort that out. Or you wouldn't have to worry, is now the time to buy 500 litres of home heating oil if you can, or do you wait and see what happens, or do you see if the oil company will deliver you 200 litres or 300 litres? You wouldn't have to worry about that because that €1,600 would fill the tank, and that's that sorted. And it's not coming out of your wages as such. It's a bullet payment that you're going to receive. That's what TDs and senators are in line for. Government ministers also remain eligible to benefit by more than €10,000 under the deal if adopted, but they could choose to forego the increases that they've done for years. The deal is yet to be ratified after being agreed on Tuesday and will go to union ballot over the next 5 weeks. The coalition decided 2 years ago that cabinet members and ministers of state could gift 10% of their salaries to the state on an annual basis, together with a pay increase due under building momentum. The pay deal now proposed to be extended. By the way, here also, pensioners face losing a range of perks after an expert group advised the government to scrap lower USC rates, tax rates and PRSI exemptions for retirees. The Commission on Taxation and Welfare has made a series of far-reaching recommendations that would help pay for the ageing population, but if implemented, they are likely to result in higher taxes for pensioners in the coming years in order to avoid punitive levies on the working age population. Now, It's the easiest thing in the world, but also, it's impossible to ignore. It's the easiest thing in the world to try and sort of maybe sound populist or to make this type of a point. But we have those who legislate for us that are just almost accidentally through a pay deal going to get $6,500 extra this year. Bullet payments of $2,275 for TDs, $1,600 for senators. At the same time as the papers are reporting how the rest of us, and it is the most of us, well, not the most of us, I don't know what the pay structure is, but many people, I would say the majority of people are bricking it for the winter. They've just got through maybe trying to get the young ones back to school. They're facing increased costs, increased electricity, and I'll talk about that in a moment. And the people that legislate for them are in line for huge amounts of money. The pay rise for TDs is more than a third, almost a half of the minimum wage for an 18-year-old who gets €7.80 an hour, and they do 40 hours, work it out. So the bonus that they're going to receive effectively is the equivalent to someone grafting at the age of 18 or 19 in a shop or something. I mean, that's not a fantastic society, is it? The Irish Times tells us that Minister for Health Stephen Donnelly, he admitted that he failed to register a rental property in Dublin for the past 3 years with the Residential Tenancy Board, and only did so late last week after it emerged his party colleague Robert Troy had also registered a property late. Mr. Donnelly is renting out a property to Sandyford, which he declared on the Dáil Register of Members' Interests. The Irish Times revealed yesterday evening that a tenancy registry was not renewed in 2019 as was required under law. Mr. Donnelly has blamed an oversight. It was registered early last week, days after a story emerged that Mr. Troy had also not registered a property on time. So TDs who are property owners all of a sudden started saying, right, wow, okay, well, Robert Troy, he didn't register his. Are all my properties registered? Can you check if those properties we have are registered there? Because I know I have them, but I'm not sure if I've registered them. Well, obviously, they found some of their properties that weren't registered, and now they are. Conversely, desperate families are struggling to keep it all together. This is the Irish Daily Mail. As the cost of living continues to rise, with St. Vincent de Paul, the charity, receiving 30 calls every hour seeking help last month. A person is calling St. Vincent de Paul every 2 minutes seeking help. Those already struggling with rising energy, transport and food costs are being pushed to the brink by the added financial pressure of the back-to-school season. It comes as Environment Minister Eamon Ryan, let's go to page 6 to see what wisdom he's going to impose. He warned of a dramatic and difficult winter due to energy hikes, with 170,000 prepaid power customers yesterday becoming the latest to be hit by price hikes, which could cost them up to $770 extra a year. I want to talk about that separately. Again, can people who don't have money worries understand what it's like to have them and to help people? We shall see in the budget. The Irish Farmers Journal. The new scheme open to Irish farmers from next year received the green light from the European Commission this week, setting the direction of farm payments for the next 5 years. The Department of Agriculture can now begin moving to open the scheme that will run under the $9.78 billion cap strategic plan for applications, with only 3 months left until the plans take effect. Some 256 million of the approved funds have been allocated to the organic farming scheme, and a further 180 million to income supports for young farmers. But it's a controversial enough scheme. It's not pleasing to everyone. Let's talk about prepay power, because a lot of people, many people, it's the same for people who might tax their car every 3 months, every 6 months. You pay a premium for doing that. The government charges you interest for paying your tax in 3 month segments. Now, the reason you might do that is because you can't find the 280 or the 670, whichever your car is, in one lump sum. So you have to break it down into bits as you can afford it. But you are charged by the government for doing so. They charge you effectively a levy for paying into your tax. Now, not exclusively, by the way, but a lot of people use prepay power because it's more controlled. So if there's a spare tenner or spare 15 or spare €20, you throw it in to the machine or you input the code and then you tick along until such time. And that's the way you try and manage your bills, because the idea of a bill for 380, 450, whatever it might be, every 2 months with fear of being disconnected, it's too much of a stress. So you try and manage. I know I'm preaching to the converted here, but it's for people who may not get why some of us, I'm not on pre-power anymore now. I was up until relatively recently, but you do it so that it feels like you're controlling the cost of it. It's more manageable. So those people now are going to face an extra 30% on their bills. Irish consumers have been dealt a blow as Prepay Power announced massive hikes to its gas and electricity prices. The energy provider says its gas will rise 29% from October 1st. Electricity will rise by 19%. The increase will add an extra €339 to the average electricity bill and €428 to the average gas bill. The firm, which has 170,000 electricity customers and 60,000 gas customers, yesterday said the rises are a result of continued upward price pressures on international energy markets. A spokesperson said, were it not for our extensive hedging operations, these increases would have had to be significantly higher. Now, there are some electricity providers that have announced hikes higher than 19%, but still, it's a huge cost increase heading into winter. And the reality is that maybe we don't see things like Christmas lights around the house as a luxury, and sorry to be speaking about them at the start of the September, but there is a reality that people are not going to want to switch them on for 4 or 5 weeks over Christmas because of the fear of what bill might come in January and February. We're not thinking about that now at the moment, but it will become an issue closer to Christmas. You can be sure of that, I think, anyway. A very sad story coming out of Catalonia in Spain. And a 20-month-old baby died after being struck on the head by a massive hailstone during a violent storm that caused havoc in Catalonia, authorities said yesterday. Fist-sized hailstones up to 10 centimetres, that's 4 inches in diameter, rained down on Tuesday on an area around the village of La Bisbal d'Empordà. They caused injuries, mostly broken bones and bruising, to around 50 other people, broadcaster TV3 said. People started screaming and hiding, said musician Sicus Carbonell, who filmed the storm's destructive aftermath in Castel d'Empordà, a nearby hotel where his band were playing a canvas-covered terrace when everyone was forced to run for cover. But sadly, a very young person, died. Okay. And I suppose on a much, much, much lighter note, to finish it off, let's go to the Irish Daily Mirror. If you've got a cat or a dog, cuddle it because it's good for you. Cuddling your pet is the best way to beat the stress of modern life. Stroking a cat or dog topped the list of how to calm yourself over money or family worries, said a poll of 2,000 people. Enjoying a cup of tea with a biscuit came a close second, followed by reading a book, writing a to-do list, or taking time out from social media. Binging on Netflix, going for a run, getting into bed with clean sheets, or ordering a takeaway also made the list of comforts. What's your favourite comforts there? Binging on Netflix, to me, I find is fine for a while, but then I really start feeling guilty and wonder what I'm doing with my life. I don't think there's much that beats getting into bed with clean sheets. That is a great comfort. Also, a takeaway. It's nice to have a takeaway now and again because you don't have to do any cleaning up or whatever. It's really, really handy. Taking a break from social media. Yeah, I like social media. Reading a book, I don't do that. Cup of tea, can't beat it. Not too big a fan of biscuits, and I don't have a cat or a dog. So for me, I think getting into a bed with new sheets tops the list for me. What's your greatest comfort? 086 60 25,000, 086 60 25,000, or give us a call on 07491 25,000. That's 07491 25,000.
The newspapers are courtesy of Kelly Centra, Mountaintop, Letterkenny.
Donegal Local Development Company is hosting a showcase event called Celebrating Donegal Business in the Clanry Hotel, Letterkenny on Saturday the 10th of September from 12 noon to 4 p.m. This event is free to attend and features the very best in local businesses. Find your perfect tradesman, beauty product, gift idea, outdoor adventure and much more, all in the one place. Come along and support your local businesses on a day that's guaranteed to be fun for all. There's lots of spot prizes and face painting for the kids. Make Celebrating Donegal Business your business this September the 10th. For more information, visit dldc.org.
Nutrius Lamb Feed offer, directly supported by the Arrivo Fodder Support Fund, is now available at your local Homeland store. Buy 10 bags of Nutrius Intensive Lamb or Nutrius Lamb Creep Crunch, get one free. Contains intake booster for higher intakes, better thrive and faster finish. T's and C's apply. Contact your local Homeland or farm commercial specialist today. Visit nutrius.ie for full product detail.
What's your dream job? Lawyer, engineer, criminologist, or software developer? Do you want to develop renewable energies, create the next great drama, or improve people's health? Anything is possible at Ulster University Magee campus, where you can study in the heart of Derry, Londonderry. Clearing places are now available to help you realise your ambitions. It's time to say hello future. Apply now for September 2022 at ulster.ac.uk.
Hello, Greg Hughes here, inviting you to join us for a special 2-hour show this Sunday as we broadcast live from the London Irish Vintage Club's 10th annual Vintage Day on the grounds of Tyrconnell Gales. We've loads of special guests, live music and plenty of crack. That's this Sunday, live on Highland Radio from 12 noon, or watch the show on our website, YouTube or Facebook. And if you're in London, come along and say hello. All right, looking forward to that this Sunday at 12 noon. If you can tune in, do. You can either listen or watch. Okay. We're joined on the programme now by Deputy Thomas Pringle. He's calling on the public to take a stand on the cost of living crises. Good morning to you, Thomas.
Morning, Greg. How's it
going? Can you hear me okay? Like, I have to be completely honest with you. I'm going to be speaking to you now about a cost of living crisis that many listeners are dealing with and struggling with at the same time, where if this new pay deal is passed, your salary, and it is on the public record. I don't like talking about people's private business, but you know what I mean. I can't in all consciousness talk about something before you come on and then not mention it to you, because I would feel bad about that. You know, we're about to talk about how the people should take to the streets about increased costs of living. Yet you and the rest of the TDs, $6,500 will just land into your bank account if this public pay deal, bringing salaries to €108,000. I don't question your understanding of people's difficulties, okay? But there has to be some level of detachment at government political dole level when, you know, that increase would be it would change someone's life. You know, if they were just a regular person. I mean, is it justifiable, €108,000 per year, a €6,500 pay rise, and then try and make decisions about people who are struggling in their lives?
Yeah, Greg, I mean, I don't think it's up to me to say whether it's justifiable or not. Obviously, if somebody is employed in the position, I feel that I would be worth it. But the reality is that, and the reason that you see the increases that have been negotiated by the unions, and I think it's a separate issue, but related as well, that politicians get that increase as well, even though it's negotiated by the unions on behalf of a lot lower paid workers who are a lot more deserving of it as well. And I think it's an indication of the actual difficulty that people are in, that the unions are pushing for as high a pay rises as can be got. I think it's an unfortunate sidekick of it, and something that we should, as politicians, should be able to stop. But there's no willingness amongst the political classes to actually stop the increase being benefiting for the likes of us.
Well, how would they? That would be like
civil servants.
It would be like asking turkeys to vote for Christmas. I mean, you know, why would any politician sort of negotiate to decouple themselves from a significant pay rise?
Well, I mean, I would have no problem with it, and you know, and I think it's something that should be done. And reality is maybe, you know, we're deciding on, or the political class is deciding whether the pay rises are given. Should we be deciding on a pay rise that's going to benefit ourselves as well? That's another issue. But I do think that's a separate issue.
Yeah, it is, but it's separate. But if someone's listening to this, it's not separate, because because it isn't separate, because they're struggling and they see those that make decisions for them not struggling. So I understand how on paper it's separate, but emotionally it is not. And I just wonder, you know, we're going to be talking about a march coming up in September. You're encouraging people to take part, and I would never discourage anyone to take part. But, you know, I just really think when people who are well off and are decision makers and are in one of their properties and don't have to worry about electricity. I wonder sometimes if they snigger at us thinking we'll make a difference by walking around Dublin when they're not even there.
Well, I tell you, I don't snigger when I'm thinking about this, and I've been meeting people every day in the office that are having severe difficulties in relation to what are these government's decisions, and they're not decisions that are out of the government's hands, as they continuously try and say, and that's what's important. And they can actually influence these decisions. They can, right across Europe. Governments have taken decisions that have stopped the increases in the electricity costs that have been experienced everywhere else. I think in France, they've seen an increase of something like 5%, whereas we're seeing increases of 36, 37, 38% here in Ireland. So why is it different everywhere else? It's because the government is actually taking decisions on behalf of the people.
What realistically could the government do to control electricity prices? Because Spain have also, I think they've capped the gas input prices, and that's how they are trying to deal with it. We buy it, and this is what worries me as well. The EU are negotiating currently to try and figure out a solution to this, and it probably will be in relation to gas prices. Yet we buy our gas from Britain, the UK, which is not in the EU, and I don't know what implications that might have for us. But what do you think the government can do now? Because personally speaking, I don't see the benefit in them giving electricity companies €300, right, to try and offset our costs, because that's actually just increasing the profits and the slush fund for the electricity companies. Do you know what I mean? And we're paying for that. So they take the money off us that we can't afford, and then they give it to electricity companies who already are taking the pee and gouging from us, right? Yeah. So they're sitting back going, seriously? Is this their solution? They're going to give us more money, folks. So what do you think the solution is?
Well, I think the government could introduce a ban on above cost increases and the massive profits that the companies are making. They could put windfall taxes on those profits and distribute that money back to the people. The government is getting increased tax receipts from the fact that the prices have gone up. They could be distributing that money back to the people as well. And they could, in the long run, what needs to be done then in the long run, I think, is they need to bring energy supply and that back under public control as well. It's no mistake that when the electricity market in Ireland was so-called liberalised and opened up to competition, we had the cheapest electricity in Europe provided by the ESB, and now we have the second most expensive electricity in Europe provided by the free market.
See, I think that's a really important one, because we were promised at that time that this would lead to more competition and cheaper electricity. That experiment has failed miserably. So if any private company makes a decision and the decision is wrong, they reverse that decision or change their decision. So, I mean, the government got it wrong, whichever government it was. I'm not sure which made that decision. That's a failed experiment. We clearly then need to take the generation and distribution of power back into state ownership.
Yeah. I mean, and it's Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael are the governments that have got that wrong and got that decision wrong, and they're the people that we're expecting now to actually sort this out. And the reality is they are wrong, and this isn't a European push or anything like that there, because other European countries are actually intervening to keep the electricity rises down, and that's significant. But yet we're here wringing our hands and saying there's nothing we can do. Either we're members of the European Union or we're not, or what is the situation? And I think that the government can be doing an awful lot more, and can be doing an awful lot more to intervene to actually help citizens, and that's what's vitally important. And look, we've seen it over the last number of years as well. It's not only the electricity costs, but also homelessness, housing, stuff like that there. This government can intervene, and it's actual policy decisions by the government not to intervene. That's the reality of the situation.
And the problem is that the government has shown that it can intervene, because it's shown that it can intervene really quite drastically through COVID, and also in dealing with and assisting refugees. So it has the power, it has that monetary, it can, if the will is there, because it's been proven. You're okay to stay with us for a moment, are you, Thomas, are you?
Yeah, no bother, Greg.
Okay, because I want to bring in, and we'll focus on promoting this rally, by the way, as well. Paddy Diver, Microaction campaigner, joins us. Paddy, how are you keeping?
Not so bad, Greg, not so bad.
Good to chat to you again. Just before we get on to the protest, is there any update as it relates to the scheme, Paddy, or Are we not? Are Micah homeowners not really focusing too much that on the moment because there's no faith in it achieving what it was set out to, what we were led to believe it might? What is the situation as it relates to the actual scheme at the moment, Paddy?
I am the same as yourself, Craig. I'm in the dark here too. There's nothing. There's no talks. They're not no talks to get no plan, no rollout plan, no structure. It's a shambles. Just the way this government does at the moment. They're just being proven to be a shambles all through the board, from everything from not looking after the people towards Micah to this cost of living crisis. The whole thing they're like going around like headless chickens. They've no, they're directionless. That's just the way. That's just the bottom line. Directionless. They haven't a clue. My eyes.
Right. So this rally's taking place on the 24th of September, Paddy, and this is a lot of organisation and different groups are involved in this one. I get the feeling, and I don't know what you think, Paddy, that this one has to be very, 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 very well attended. Because if it's, even if it's similar in size to the Micah protest, as amazing that was from one county, I don't think it's going to make a difference. I think this is the type that needs many multiples of tens of thousands attending, and that's how the government can't ignore it. What do you think?
No, I totally agree. I think if there's not over 100, they need to be up in 100,000. I'm not sure because if they're starting to 20 or 30,000, the government say, look, they're not taking it serious. They're not up for a fight. They're not standing together. We don't have to do nothing. But if they land on record numbers, it's the only way it'll work. I hope and pray that every county and every man, woman, child, and their dog turn up to us here, because if, as you say earlier on, just walking through the streets with 20,000, they don't care. They need to see something dramatic, something that just absolutely makes them think, hold on a minute, we're in serious bother here if we don't listen to the people. But will all the people get up? I don't know, I just hope they do.
Yeah, and it's something he says, well, that the media can't ignore as well, because, certain sections of the media will try and play something like this down, and sometimes when you get to a certain number, you just simply can't do that. That's the question, Paddy. We can say we want to, we can say we will, but on Saturday morning, will people jump in their cars or on the buses? And that remains to be seen. You're encouraging as many as possible, as many listening to do so, though, I imagine.
I would love it that if every county was getting their own people to go. Like every teacher, anybody with their homeless, anybody that can't get rent, paying their rent and their mortgages and their students. Everybody should be. I know people turn around and they've got disheartened with the protest through the Micah. I have myself. I think disruptive is the only way, but this is never going to be one. So this is the last chance I would say you'll ever get a protest to stand together, because if we do nothing and sit down and just watch it and say, oh, sure, I'm only a number, so not must me, and you look down the road and there's only 30,000, well, this here crisis, this housing crisis and cost of living crisis will just get out of control, because the government will do not. They'll just realise then people's not standing together. They're not fighting. They're just going to turn around and be there. It is what it is.
Yeah, I know this might sound naive, and obviously with the Micah March, Paddy, it was very specific on Micah. I think they should not have speakers at something like this. I really don't think that helps. I think that puts some people off. I think they should just say, get out onto the streets. We don't need a stage. We don't need microphones or speakers or egos being massaged or people politicking or maybe even sort of trying to... if it were me, I'd have no stage, no speakers. I'd just get people on the ground, and that is it. And it could be from any political party or none. I don't know what your views on something like that might be.
No, listen, you're 1,000,000% right. One of the biggest regrets I have that second protest in Dublin was that stage, and it lasted too long.
I actually really think, Paddy, with all due respect, I think that was perfect for that issue, and I think there was images and photos because it was so specific, and it was the people that needed to be there speaking. I think that's different, and I say that with respect, Paddy, and you are brilliant at organising stuff. This is just something that we can't have anyone saying this is about, we've got these people here. It puts people off. I think if there's no speakers, everyone will feel welcome. But I think you did brilliant with your stage, to be honest with you.
Well, listen, I don't know. I think the speaking and letting too many people took too long. But at the same time, I totally agree with this next thing here. No more stages, no more speeches. Go down, make your point. I just hope my hand goes out. Like your hand goes out to Donegal, so that's far away from Dublin and everybody else, and then you've got the Cork. But at the same time, for one day, if you think it's going to make a difference, this housing crisis, people should make effort, should definitely make effort to go, because make no mistake about it, this is an absolute shambles. Like, see, the more you look into this housing crisis, like you really look at it, the worse it is. It's a mess from everything from the health service to the oil, to the housing, diesel, agriculture, immigration, multinationals. The students can't get accommodation. The list just goes on and goes on and goes on. And I know that there's inflation around the world. Fair enough, but at the same time, there's other countries deal with it right. They look ahead to the future. This country is a mess. It's the second most expensive country in Europe, the biggest housing crisis. You look over there at somebody and somebody says, but Denmark's an expensive country too. But sure, their health service is top notch. Their students' education is top notch. Ours is just a mess all over. And like, sometimes we need to look at ourselves, because it can't just be the government that's fault. We need to look at it. We must be, if we keep voting them, it's not them, it's fault, it's us. Like the day of us voting 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Don't even do no more 3, 4s, and 5s. You can't even let them get on there. I think they're just a disgrace. We were talking last night about it. One of the boys was saying, "Sure, look at really none of the years." He says, every time you look at really none of the years, all they're talking about is a scandal in the government. A tribunal needs to be done. A tribunal for this.
Yep.
What are you, man? Better here now. I say he's no bank account. You look at the other day there now. Derek Cleary, he's back in. He's out 2 years ago. Now he's back in doing this. Your man, the micro homeowners couldn't get on the scheme for no RTBs. Your man Rob Troy, he's no RTB. And there's another boy come out to him today. They've no RTB. Like, it's scandal after scandal with them. Scandal for them, and nothing. We're nothing to them. They don't know what it is for a cost of living. So they've another raise here for people earning over 150,000. They get another 6 or 10% raise on top of it. Like, Jesus, I don't know, boss.
All right, listen, you're encouraging anyone and everyone to get to Dublin on the 24th of September, and of course, people with still suffering from mica and facing into a winter. I mean, like, imagine how tough it is heating a house already. Then imagine heating a house that the wind's blowing through it, and you can't compartmentalize it. I mean, it's going to be an absolute nightmare, particularly for mica-affected homeowners. Thanks, Paddy, for your time. I appreciate it.
No bother, Greg. Good man.
Take care. Right now, Carmel Boner joins us. Carmel, sorry for holding you, because this is the other end of it. This is the business side of it. There's two images you have produced, 2 electricity bills, and one is €5,550. The second, €10,278. How can any business absorb that kind of cost increase? That's just one thing over one billing period. I mean, it's impossible, Carmel, is it?
It's impossible, Greg. When you look at that, that's like a 100% increase in 2 months. I'm listening to Thomas there saying to you down the road and in the long run and all the rest of it. But my point is, Greg, long run and down the road isn't going to help me now, in the here and now, right now, because this bill is issued. And these guys want this €10,278 on the 8th of September. Now, that's a 100% increase from our last bill. So if Thomas would say to me, or somebody could explain to me, justify that increase, explain to me how my bill is £5,000 dearer than it was 2 months ago. If he could tell me, because my usage is exactly the same. We haven't changed, and everything in the shop is still exactly the same. If anything, Greg, we've pulled back.
Yeah.
We have, like, we've been mindful. We've been mindful of, if, lights being put out, aircon not being used. And, we didn't have a lot of hot days, Greg, but the days that were hot, we had to be mindful about the aircon.
Well, I was in a shop yesterday, and I said I said it's roasting in here, and he said to me, he says, well, we can't risk putting the air conditioning on. It was absolutely roasting in there. Well, I mean, I'm going to come back to you, Carmel, because I want to tease this out a bit more. But Thomas Pringle's still on the line with us. I suppose he can't speak on behalf of the government. I don't think he's going to justify it. But Carmel is facing these increased bills, Thomas, from companies that are reporting record profits. Now, this is not just BP and Shell, but even the electricity suppliers are reporting. It is insult to injury. It's like them walking into Carmel's shop and slapping her across the face. Is there any justification, Thomas?
Well, I'm not going to justify it because I think it's completely wrong, Greg, and it should never have happened. And it's stark, like, and Carmen has outlined it there, 100% increase over 2 months. I mean, I'm dealing with businesses and this end of the county as well who are facing the exact same problems. Indeed, I was talking to one business owner yesterday who has a new premises where they put in all the cost saving thing, low energy bulbs, everything they got there, everything that the government has actually advising businesses to do now to reduce their energy costs, and her energy costs have still gone through the roof. So it's crazy. And then as we see, then the companies making massive profits on foot of this as well. The government needs to be in right away, making sure that they are taxing those profits to the health, and giving that money back to the consumers and back to the people who've paid it. That's the very least that the government can do. But they could also say to the companies that we're not standing for this anymore, and you have no more increases, and set the benchmark and intervene in the market, and that's what needs to happen.
Carmel, what does this mean in terms of a business? Because, it's not like you can try and make the savings. You're already trying to do that. It's not like you can all of a sudden come up with a massive new revenue stream. And also you're facing into the fact that maybe your customers are going to be watching their pennies a little bit more closer. So when you look over the next 6 months, Carmel, what do you see?
Greg, we're a small outfit here in Convoy, and we've been here 30 years, and it's myself and the two daughters. And we've discussed this between the three of us yesterday, and we're thinking, what are we going to do? That 10,000, Greg, I'm getting a lot of messages from people saying don't pay, right? Okay, say I take that attitude, right, don't pay. Well, I'll get cut off. Then I'll have to pay the reconnection fee. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So it can't go down that way. That 10,000 will have to be paid. So how do I make that back through the business? How do I get that 10,000 back through the business? Then pay staff, then pay suppliers, then do all. So I'll tell you, Greg, it's really very worrying. So because they're saying it's going up again now on the end of October, I think. So say my next bill now was up 30% of 13,000. That was up to 13,000. Greg, here's the thing. I might just pull the shutters down. That's we could not sustain this going forward, that amount of ASB.
Yeah, but that is a huge impact for you and your family, but also for Convoy as well. Your shop, your launder shop, is that these are the beating hearts of these Convoy, local areas.
Yeah, we're 30 years in Convoy, and honestly, between it's the three of us. We're a small outfit, Greg. There's 9 staff, and we go over and above. We do what we can, we are. That amount, that ESB bill, Greg, is not sustainable for us, not going forward anyway. But here's my point. What do we do? What do I do as a small business?
I don't know, but even you should be supported, because if you close, that's 9 jobs lost. That's 9 people that might have to end up on social welfare, for example. And exactly. I hope your staff understand I'm using them as example. I'm not talking about their private lives, Carmel. No, I know. And that costs the state. And then they probably need to go and try and get some. You know what I mean? What we should be doing is keeping you in business, keeping those 9 people in jobs, because. Yeah. All right. It's worrying for you, Carmel, and you can't look forward to anything, because this is going to be hanging over your head like a big dark cloud following you everywhere. Yep. Very disheartening, Greg, because nobody, and I don't care how much there, has 10,000 euros just sitting there to pay a bill. Nobody, none of us. It's what do I do? How can they justify to me that this bill is €10,278 when we have done nothing any different? Our usage, Greg, is still the same, like I said earlier, if not less. Yep, no, you can see it in the bill. You can see how many units you've used. It's not like all of a sudden you're stuck on 50 electric heaters. The unit usage is there. They've just decided to charge you an extra 100% for the privilege. All right. But Greg, do they just come up with this off the top of their head? Well, we don't know, because there's no transparency. How do we know? How are oil companies making record profits? How are electricity companies making extra profits, record profits? Then why are we planning to give taxpayers money directly to the electricity companies to take the pressure off the public, which it's money for nothing for them? Why would they reduce prices? Why would they have a moral conscience? We are encouraging and supporting them and paying them with taxpayers' money. We are literally saying, well done, here's more money for you. And we're supposed to buy that as if that's doing us a favour, taking the edge off things, Carmel. So I don't know. They don't have to justify it because they're not held to account. I don't know why they're great. Thomas, come in there. All right, Carmel, thanks for your time. Thomas?
Yeah, that's a problem. All the electricity companies are private companies. They don't have to be accountable to the state or anything like that. But the state can do more, and that's the reality of the situation. And they have to, like you're right there. The loss of 9 jobs in Conway would be the equivalent of losing 900 jobs in Letterkenny or 9,000 jobs in Dublin, and there would be uproar right across the country in relation to it. And that's the difficulty. And the government needs to take action to make sure that this happens, and they need to do more than the mealy mouth response they have been given up to this, because the prices are still increasing, people are still having to pay it, and they've been pinned to the collar. And the reality is, like the as you said, Greg, and the business gets that big increase. The customers that they're relying on to keep that business going as well, they're suffering under increases as well. So they don't have the spending power either. So they're cutting back on their spending. The costs are going up, and they're being squeezed in the middle.
And all the while, they're increasing interest rates by way of stopping or stemming this, right?
Yeah,
which is increasing people's bills and costs and anxieties and stress. And at record low interest rates, inflation was still, it's not really clear the relationship between interest rates going up and costs coming and spending coming. Anyway, listen, Deputy Thomas Pringle, thanks for your time this morning. I appreciate it. I presume you'll be there September 24th. Clive Johnson is another business person. He owns Luca's restaurant in Letterkenny. Clive, what's your situation?
Well, good morning, Greg. Our situation is in Luca's restaurant alone. We have 5 or 6 different establishments. Our bill went from about 7,000-8,000 every 2 months to 22,000.
I mean, no business can absorb that, Clive. I don't care how successful they are.
No, we went back with the company we were with, and we asked the questions. Well, first of all, our unit price went from, we were contracted for 18 cents. Mm-hmm. And when our contract was up, we went then to 39 cents. So we got the bill for 22,000. We questioned Panda Power and that. First of all, you can't get through to them. It took days to get any answer, anybody to come back to us. Days, it was maybe 7-8 days at this stage. Panda Power then come back, and they said they looked at the bill. They did take 3,000 off it. Now, I think that was they were charging the full price or the full term, whereas our contract sort of changed in between times. And that's people as well, I suppose, need to make sure and check what the suppliers they're with, that if their contract's changing in the middle of the bill, that they're only being charged the old rate. But it's impossible to get through to the companies.
Yeah, so, I mean, from a business perspective now, without not in any way discussing the private matters of your business, Clive, I mean, when you look through the winter again, we don't know where prices are going. I presume it will require more heat and more light. You know, what do you feel when you look through, November, December, January, February, for example?
Well, listen, we're just living and hope that the budget, this emergency budget or whatever it is, that do something, because I don't know where it stops. We can't go back. We put our prices up, suppose, about 4 or 5 months ago. It doesn't matter, I think, at this stage what price your product's going to be, because the customer is not going to have the money to spend, and they're not going to come in to you.
Have input costs stabilised at all? Obviously we're talking about the cost of electricity. Has there been any stabilisation in terms of the raw materials that you need, Clive?
No, the stuff has gone up every day. Every morning you look at your emails, there's the price increases somewhere. There's 2 or 3 different suppliers somewhere. Price increases here, there, under. And if you take now across Europe, there's a drought situation in a lot of places. Mm-hmm. We use a lot of pasta. Just one example, a bag of flour, pizza flour that we were using was about €15.80 this time last year. It is now €39.
Wow. It's almost tripled.
This is, and that's just one thing. Pasta, everything that's coming on the door chicken has more than doubled, I would say. and just everything, and that's tough. There's a lot of businesses not going to survive.
Yeah, yeah, for sure, because there's going to be, it's like households, there's going to be different businesses at different places, like some businesses that are ticking along, breaking even, just turning a small profit with a business plan to turn a larger profit in 3 or 4 years, they're going to go. You know,
businesses going. You know, I suppose the bigger businesses will be sitting waiting. It's like they'll be able to hold in, and the smaller businesses will go by the wayside. And I suppose whatever business is there, then the bigger businesses will pick them up. It's going to be a very, very, very tough winter for a lot of people.
All right, Clive, I wish we had better news, but that's the reality. ESB up to €22,000 for 63 days. I mean, you have to, sell a lot of stuff and get a lot of people in and out through the door just to get to that amount before you talk about paying everything else and costs and wages and every other bloody thing.
That's one business. My ESB for them 2 months would have been over 46,000.
Scary stuff. Okay.
So I don't know. And if it gets any worse, that's not easy.
All right, Clive. Well, listen, keep doing what you're doing. And what we can do is, if we can, if we have monies, go into the likes of Luca's Restaurant in Letterkenny and support Clive and his staff and the jobs that they create. Thanks, Clive. I appreciate it. All right, okay. Back with some more after this break. Stay where you are.
There are 3 lucky winners on Highland Radio who have one thing in common. They can still win big in our mega summer draw. €2,500 will be given away on the Naughty Alarm Clock on Friday the 2nd of September. But that's not all, because we have left the biggest prize to last. You could win €10,000 in cash. Yes, that's right. Greg Hughes will be ringing one lucky person on Friday the 2nd of September at 11:30 a.m. Have you bought your tickets yet? You can go to highlandradio.com, click on the link, answer a simple question and purchase a ticket for €10, 6 for €50 or 10 for €80. What would you do with 10 grand in cash?
At Curry's, we've got Ireland's largest range of laptops. Like the 11-inch HP Stream, now €199, save €70. Or save €150 on the HP laptop with Intel Core i3, now €519. And get a free one-for-all gift card up to €150 when you buy selected laptops. Get in-store or online at currys.ie. T's and C's apply.
New farm schemes get the green light. For more in your Farmer's Journal, here's Paul Mooney.
EU Commission approves Ireland's CAP plan. We reveal how grain growers get just 1 cent from a pint of stout. Fears over fertiliser supply for next spring. Farmers will foot bill for extra TB testing. Have we reached peak milk price? Demand for firewood soars. And ram prices increased by €46 a head.
Plus, don't miss our focus on autumn animal health inside this week's Irish Farmer's Journal, on sale now.
Fleming doors, not flaming doors. Garage doors, agri doors, insulated doors, milking parlour doors. Fleming, providing engineering solutions since 1860. Fleming, 91 48 234.
Brian McCormick, Sports and Leisure, your football specialist. Multi-buy discounts on footballs from Mitre, Adidas and O'Neill's. Training equipment, cones, bibs, water bottle sets. View our complete range on bmcsports.ie. Have your team look the part with some Adidas leisure wear. New Entrada 22 quarter zips with matching bottoms. Training packs available for all ages. Look the part, play the part. In-store, online, mobile. Click and collect on bmcsports.ie.
Alzheimer's Memory Walk takes place on Sunday 18th of September. Register now at memorywalk.ie or call us on 01 207 3800. Let's walk together. Supported by Irish Life.
Is your car due a service? We offer pickups and drop-offs from your home or work. We even offer courtesy cars, making your car service a hassle-free experience. Call today or visit imotors.ie to book in.
Patterson's The Halliford, one of Ireland's largest kitchen and interior showroom. Open Monday to Saturday, 9 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. Kitchens, beds, mattresses, furniture and garden furniture, all under one roof. 50% off our X-Display kitchens. Everything you need to make your house a home at Patterson's Kitchens and Interiors, The Halliford.
Okay, heading towards news at 10. Greg and team, can we actually find out exactly why the increase in electricity costs has happened at such a vast scale? Attached is the best quote I can find right now. Could any other business give insights into the best deal they can get right now? Well, it's the rising cost of the likes of gas that's driving up the the prices. They also say that the wind's not blowing like perhaps it should, and there's drought, which is affecting generation through hydro and all that kind of stuff. Fuel for slack burners went from €250 in the springtime to €750 now. How can you heat your home at that increase? I don't know. I got home heating oil in there during the week, dipped the tank, and there's nothing in it really. To be honest, I might have to tilt it even further towards the tap. All right, it is the 9 till noon show here in Highland Radio. Loads to come in the next 2 hours. Stay where you are, but we're going to take a quick break now for the news and obituary notices.
Live, on air, online and on the Highland Radio app. This is Highland Radio News.
Good morning, it's 10 o'clock. Donald Kavanagh at the Highland Radio News Desk. The Social Democrats say the latest controversy surrounding another minister's rental property raises questions about how seriously the government takes rental regulations. Stephen Donnelly is due to address the media this morning to clarify the late registration of a rental property. The Health Minister blamed an oversight for failing to register a property with the RTB since 2019. He says it's been registered since last week. There has been a renewed focus on landlord TDs following the resignation of Robert Troy as Junior Minister last week over controversy around his 11 properties. Social Democrats housing spokesperson Cian O'Callaghan says TDs and ministers need to be able to follow the rules, just like everyone else.
I think this is a huge slap in the face actually for the tens of thousands of landlords who do everything by the book, register with the RTB, follow all the laws, all the regulations, and now they know that a government minister hasn't done this, and it's not really conceivable that he simply forgot about it, would have been getting the rental income from it, everything else. So it raises a question, not just I think Minister Donnelly, is the government taking this seriously at all? Do they consider regulation of the private rental sector a serious matter?
A Donegal TD is urging people to support the cost of living protest which takes place in Dublin on Saturday, September 24th. Independent Deputy Thomas Pringle says it's important that a very strong message is sent to the government ahead of the march and rally which is being organised by the Cost of Living Coalition. He says it's particularly important that the government's argument that it's powerless to act is firmly challenged. He told Greg on today's 9 till noon show that governments elsewhere can take alternative decisions.
They're not decisions that are out of the government's hands, as they continuously try and say, and that's what's important. They can actually influence these decisions. They can. Right across Europe, governments have taken decisions that have stopped the increases in the electricity costs that have been experienced everywhere else. I think in France, they've seen an increase of something like 5%, whereas we're seeing increases of 36, 37, 38% here in Ireland. So why is it different everywhere else? It's because the government is actually taking decisions on behalf of the people.
From today, those aged 12 to 49 with long-term health conditions and healthcare workers are invited to make appointments for their second COVID-19 booster dose. Pop-up vaccination clinics are in place at the Letterkenny COVID Vaccination Centre, as well as in St Mary's Parish Centre in Stranraer tomorrow, and in the centre in Letterkenny on Friday and Saturday. These clinics are available by appointment only. A full report and all those details available on our website. Dunloe has been granted an extra €20,000 in funding to implement language plans. The funding was announced by the Government Chief Whip and Junior Gaeltacht Minister Jack Chambers, who is currently on a visit to Donegal. With more detail, here's Donna Marie Doherty.
Government Chief Whip and Minister of State for the Gaeltacht and Sport, Jack Chambers TD, will launch the language plan for the Gaeltacht service town of Ancloughan-Lea this evening in Enid Chimple Crinne. While in Donegal this week, he announced that the annual funding to be made available in future for the specific Gaeltacht service towns in the Gaeltacht is being increased from €80,000 to €100,000 per year. An additional fund worth €20,000 per year will now be available to help towns implement their language plans. This amounts to the total funding of up to €700,000 per town over the lifetime of the 7-year language plans for 3 towns throughout the county, including Dunloe. During his visit to County Donegal today, Minister of State Chambers is also getting an insight into Ulster Scots culture and heritage in the east of the county by visiting the Monrea Heritage Centre, Carrigans and the Ulster Scots Agency offices in Raphoe.
Anthony will be the first storm for the coming winter season. Met Éireann, along with weather services in the UK and Netherlands, have released the full list of storm names this morning, which will be in alphabetical order. Also included are Killian, Joanna, Nelly and Ruin. The head of forecasting at Met Éireann, Evelyn Cusick, says they received many suggestions from the public but couldn't use them all.
We did use some of them. I'm not going to highlight them because then other people will feel that. But I'll just say, if your name didn't appear this year, well, look, there's lots of years ahead, and I'm afraid there's probably lots of storms ahead. Not that everyone wants to be called, wants their name associated with a violent, destructive force of nature.
Weather forecast and Met Éireann tell us any mist or fog will clear this morning, leaving a mostly dry and sunny day. Some patchy cloud will bubble up during the middle of the day, and that could bring some isolated showers. Top temperatures today of 18 to 20 degrees Celsius. And that's Highland Radio News. We're back with news headlines again at 11 o'clock. Until then, from the news team, good morning.
Obituary notices for Thursday morning, September 1st. The death has taken place of Jimmy Cullen, Devlin Ray, Carrigart. Removal from the Eternal Light Chapel of Rest, Mountain Top, Letterkenny, this afternoon at 3:30 p.m, going to his late residence. Funeral from there on Saturday, going to the Church of St John the Baptist, Carrigart, for Requiem Mass at 11 a.m, followed by interment in the adjoining cemetery. The death has occurred of Pat Meehan, 39, Ash Lawn, Letterkenny, and formerly Kilclooney, Portnew. Pat's remains will repose at Shovelin's funeral home, Sandfield, Ardra, from 12 noon today, with removal at 1:30 p.m, going to his late residence to arrive at approximately 3 p.m. Travelling via Kilclooney, Lough Fad, and Glenties. Funeral Mass on Saturday morning at 11 a.m. in the Church of the Irish Martyrs, Letterkenny. Funeral Mass can be viewed live on the Irish Martyrs Facebook page. Family time from 11 p.m. until 9 a.m. and on the morning of the funeral. Family flowers only, donations in lieu if desired, to the Irish Community Rapid Response, care of any family member, or James McGuinness and Sons, Funeral Director. The death has occurred in Birmingham, England, of David Ewing, formerly the Curragh Killygordon. Requiem Mass will be celebrated for David in St Patrick's Church, Crossroads, Killygordon, on Saturday at 11 a.m. Interment of ashes afterwards in the family grave in the adjoining churchyard. The Requiem Mass will be streamed live on St Patrick's Church, Crossroads, Killygordon Facebook page. The death has taken place of Robbie Barkley, Town Parks, Convoy. Funeral from there on Saturday at 12 noon for service in St Ninian's Parish Church, Convoy at 12:30 p.m, with burial afterwards in the family plot in the adjoining churchyard. The death has occurred of Noel O'D, Town Parks, Raphoe, formerly Bury, County Limerick. Noel is reposing at Kelly's funeral home today from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. and from 5 p.m. with rosary at 8 p.m. Family time on the morning of the funeral, please. Funeral will leave his late residence, Town Parks, Raphoe, tomorrow morning at 11:30 a.m, going to St Eunan's Church, Raphoe, for 12 noon Requiem Mass, with burial afterwards in the adjoining cemetery. Mass can be viewed on mcnmedia.tv. Family flowers only, please. Donations in lieu if desired to the Raphoe Conference of St Vincent de Paul, care of any family member or Kelly's funeral directors. The death has taken place of Teresa McGonigal, née Kelly, 427 Victoria Road, Ballymagorry, and formerly of Ahiarn. Reposing at her home. Funeral leaving her home tomorrow morning at 9:25 a.m. for Requiem Mass in St Mary's Church, Clough at 10 a.m. Interment afterwards in the adjoining cemetery. Donations in lieu of flowers, please, to the Foyle Hospice, care of Quigley Funeral Directors. The death has taken place of Edward Eddie Crawford, Station Road, Port Hall, Lifford. Eddie's remains are reposing at his home today from 2 p.m. until 10 p.m. Funeral from there tomorrow morning for Requiem Mass at 11 a.m. in St Patrick's Church, Murlough, followed by interment in St Bathans Cemetery, St Johnson. Funeral Mass can be viewed on clonleeparish.com. House is private from 10 p.m. until 2 p.m. and on the morning of the funeral. And the death has taken place of Margaret Ann Rita McNutt, RD, Newtown, Cunningham. Rita's remains are reposing at her late residence with family time please from 11 p.m. to 10 a.m. Funeral leaving from there tomorrow afternoon at 1:15 p.m. for 2 p.m. funeral service in Newtown Cunningham Presbyterian Church, with burial afterwards in the family plot in the adjoining churchyard. Family flowers only, donations in lieu if desired to Medical 5, Letterkenny University Hospital, care of any family member or Terence McClintock, Funeral Director. For more details, including any family health guidelines for wakes and funerals, please go to highlandradio.com.
Okay, you're very welcome back to the second hour of the programme. Good morning to you if you are just joining us. Right, a caller says, and I really don't understand when people start messages with, I don't think if you're brave enough to read this out. I've no idea what that means. We cover everything on this programme, and I don't know what in my history here would suggest that I'm not brave enough to read out a text. But anyway, I don't agree with you, and I'll explain the reasons why. But if you want to come and discuss it, that's fine. What do you think about this? If the majority of people stop paying their electricity and rent, I believe if a mass movement of people done this, it would bring about change. We could be one more step closer to waking up this government. It would get their attention. I can't see anything else having as big an effect. Some kind of uprising is the only way to be heard. Already in the UK, Boris and crew are trying to stop protesting. Well, what will happen is I don't know, say there's 200,000 homeowners who pay electricity in this country. 1 or 2,000, maybe 3, maybe 5%, even if it were 5% of people said, right, we're going to do this, they'd be left on their own doing it. They'd be sitting there in a house that is dark, not heated, facing eviction, whilst the majority who won't do this, regardless of how much you might want them to, the majority wouldn't do this, don't do it and sort of say, well, fair play to you, you're making a stand, well done to you. Those people would have to then end up paying reconnection charges. Their credit rating would go through the floor. If the majority of people did it, which will never happen, maybe, but it won't be. It would just be a 5% that would take that stand, and then they'd end up with their lives completely banjaxed, and the 95% going, well, I would have done it, but for this reason or for that reason. It's the same about a lot of things as of late. When it comes down to it, people will conform, and understandably, because there's realities about raising children, feeding people, keeping heat on, a lot of reasons as to why people would not stop paying their electricity or rent, because eventually they probably would end up having to get reconnected. That's if they could get a supplier that would deal with them, and then they'd have to pay a reconnection charge. You probably have to get to 60-70% of people who simply wouldn't be able to do it, because how do you not pay your electricity and then your children not do their homework, for example, or not be able to put the oven on, or not be able to put your heating on because the pump runs off electricity? I like where you're coming from in terms of some sort of a utopia where lots and lots and lots of people did it, but they simply won't. And I don't think it's a particularly controversial text that one would require great bravery to read out, but I appreciate it, and let's throw it out to the general population to see what they think. I just think that there'd be a couple of thousand people that might think they're taking a stand, but in the end they would be far worse off than they are right now. A caller says, I can't wait until Sinn Féin and Thomas gets into government. Won't have to put my hand in my pocket for anything. See, that's the other side of it. Other countries take to the streets and force their governments to act. The Irish take to the pubs and then emigrate. No accountability of those in power here, and never will be. Same old, same old. We shall see what kind of crowd turns out on September 24th. It has to be huge. It can't be 30 or 40,000 or 45,000. It simply would not be the case. Here's another example of what I think maybe, Maria, I appreciate you texting, but I think you might have got the wrong end of the stick. Highland Radio is a waste of time. Thank you for your endorsement. Making little of the Irish citizens by ruling out speakers. Now, this is me suggesting, and Paddy Diver actually agreed with me. Be like the French, make a noisy demonstration protest. This sweet talk in the government isn't working. Make a noisy protest. Bring your banners, bring your pots and pans, whatever it is. Shout, whistle, whatever. But I'll tell you right now, there is a large proportion of the population, right? Say for instance, this protest on September 24th it ends up with a whole load of Sinn Féin speakers on stage. Let's just say, for example, because it's easier to say that, of people who are Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael supporters but don't like the direction the country are going to go in are all of a sudden going to go to what is de facto Sinn Féin rally. They're not. They're going to stay at home and say, this is not for me. We've seen it before. We've seen it before with protests that have been organised outside Letterkenny University Hospital because they were being organised by a particular group. People who were affected that supported other groups didn't go. The turnout was terrible. Okay, people can bring their banners, make their noise or whatever, but I'm telling you that if a political party or grouping or some political section take that protest over, you can forget about a lot of people turning up. The reason you exclude speakers, I'm suggesting you exclude speakers, is because we've heard it all before. We've heard all the lines before. Go on Facebook. People are sitting in their cars saying stuff to the camera. We've heard it a million times. No one's doing anything. People are saying the same stuff over and over again, but what is being done? Nothing. It's a disgrace. We need to do this. Everybody knows all that stuff, but it's about doing something. So if lots and lots of people, if they want to, turn out at September 24th, something might change. But if you start making it a political party or a political ideology, if it's being seen to be organised by one particular cohort, then it will greatly affect numbers. Now, I'm open to correction. I could be wrong, but I've seen it firsthand. What do you think? 086 60 25,000 WhatsApp or text. Your calls to 07491 25,000. Marie, by the way, I do appreciate your interacting with the programme. I mean, I don't think we're a waste of time, but I respect your point of view, and I appreciate you taking the time to type it. Okay, I'm going to take the bingo numbers, but it's going to be after this break. My apologies, I've clicked them in the wrong order. So if you're waiting for the bingo numbers, they'll be with you in just a minute and 50 seconds. Oh, actually, I've managed to undo it. Here they are now.
It's time for NCBI Bingo on Highland Radio.
It's Thursday, the 1st of September, Jackpot Day. You're playing for the jackpot prize of €10,000 on the pink sheet. The reference number is S14. It's game number 35. The jackpot number is 77. This number can come out in any position from the next 10 numbers drawn. And now, here are your daily numbers. 77, 59, 36, 42, 88, 68, 2, 54, 38, and finally 62. Phone your claim to 9104833 before 8 tonight, leaving your name, contact number and the name of the shop where you purchased your book, and we'll call you back the next working day. Get all your NCBI bingo information at highlandradio.com. The Donegal Suffolk Sheep Breeders Show and Sale will take place this Saturday, 3rd of September at Rafo Mart. Show is at 10 a.m. with the sale at 12 noon. 60 entries on offer. Online bidding available via martbids.ie. That's this Saturday at Rafo Mart.
My elbows are tingling. That can only mean one thing. Someone just bagged a big win at TK Maxx. Today it was Kate with a big name bronzer and a chic new toaster. Scandi inspired, don't you know? Delightful. Head to TK Maxx today to bag your own ridiculous quality bargains. Big brand wins in home beauty and fashion in store now at TK Maxx.
Do you suffer from high cholesterol, menopause symptoms, digestive issues, anxiety, aches and pains, or a lack of energy? The highly trained team at The Natural Way Letterkenny can provide advice on natural remedies for a number of individual health issues. The Natural Way also has its own brand of herbal treatments to help fight fatigue, relieve digestive discomfort, maintain a healthy immune system and alleviate common menopause symptoms. The Natural Way at Letterkenny Shopping Centre, your one-stop health shop.
It's Aldi's best value back to school event ever with up to 45% off this week's Aldi Savers.
Cassidy's share bag was $1.79, now 99 cent. Plain white napkins was $1.19, now 69 cent. Dairy fine chocolate was $1.49, now 99 cent. Choco or honey hoops was $1.39, now 99 cent. Pasta sauces was $1.89, now $1.49. And spaghetti was 99 cent, now 69 cent. Aldi have savings after savings after savings. Just saying.
Hi, Marty Friel here. Hope you can join me this and every Friday night from 8 till 10 p.m. with Rockin' Hits on Highland Radio in association with Arena 7 Letterkenny, home to the coolest lanes in Ireland for bowling, with yours truly playing the party hits every Saturday night, making sure a good night becomes a great night. See arena7.ie.
Okie dokie, welcome back to the programme. The DLDC is to host Celebrating a Donegal Business Showcase. Let's find out what this is all about. Laura Mannion's Communications Manager with DLDC. Laura, good morning to you.
Good morning, Greg. How are you?
Great, it's good to have you on the programme. Right, so talk to me about this event. What's it about?
Well, as the name of the event says, it's all about celebrating Donegal business, Greg. I mean, every business has struggled over the last 2 years. And these businesses have the majority of the 70 exhibitors who are showcasing at the event on the 10th of September were established over the last two years. So, I mean, that's an incredible feat. And we as an organisation just want to celebrate them and get them together and give them an opportunity to really profile their businesses, show their resilience and celebrate the hard work that that has been achieved over the last 2 years to be the successes that they are today.
Yeah, and of course there'll be plenty of networking opportunities and ideas sharing and pothole sharing or pitfall sharing and all that kind of stuff at this type of event as well, I'm sure, for those who are the business people attending.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, what makes it a bit different, I suppose, is that, these type of events would be a bridal event or a baby fair event, but this is businesses of all kinds. Greg, we have everything from bakeries to outdoor, we're going to talk to Jono in a bit, outdoor adventure companies. We have hairdressers, beauticians, bakers. We have a lot of tradesmen exhibiting. So there's businesses of all kinds here. So there's something for everybody. So there's the chance for them to meet each other, work together, but also an opportunity for the public to come in and find, I don't know, hate to be talking about Christmas so soon, but the perfect Christmas gift or the perfect tradesman. So there's huge opportunities to come in and support your local businesses in the area.
Lots of people love talking about Christmas already. Don't be afraid of the noisy minority.
I know. Well, it's September now. It's nearly acceptable at this stage.
Okay. You mentioned Jono Griffin. He's from Wild and Free Adventures. Jono, good morning to you.
Good morning. How you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. Tell us about your company, what it offers and where it's located, Jono.
Yeah, I'm a new company just set up a few months ago. We're based in southwest Donegal, along the Slieve League Peninsula, specialising in taking people on adventures, but like things around stand-up paddle adventures, surfing, a little bit of hiking as well, and kind of customising adventures for folks to get out into the amazing coastline that we have in South Donegal, that is untouched and just a unique place. So yeah, the stand-up paddling has been really successful, really. A lot of people enjoy that, and for all levels, all ages. I've had 7-year-olds and I've had 70-odd-year-olds out all summer, going into caves and gorges along beaches and coastlines. We've had dolphins under our boards, so amazing.
You get a beautiful perspective, of course. At the top of Slieve League, looking out. But there's a something different about being down at sea level, so to speak, and seeing it from a completely different perspective. It feels like, there's a uniqueness to that experience, even if you're with 50 people, whereas there's something more generic about standing above a cliff looking out, which is beautiful as well, don't get me wrong. But I think that's what draws people to that type of activity, amongst other things.
Yeah, and you find when you get people, and this is kind of my heart of the business, is more the adventure, the experience side of getting people into the outdoors in a safe and fun way. People realize they can have transformative, and I know it's a bit cheesy, but they can have life-changing experiences out on the water, under a cliff.
Hey, we need to start owning what we feel. Laura's afraid to mention Christmas, and you're afraid to mention the real spiritual element of the experience you provide.
just trying to be inclusive. You know?
I know. But Jono, you see, a business like yours is it's important to you and those that you employ as well. But this is also diversifying our tourism product as well, be it internal tourism or people coming overseas. Like, you know, if you were to go back 20 years or maybe even more sooner, that people might go, you mean to tell me there isn't a business that will actually allow me to, in a safe way, experience this beautiful coastline that you have? Do you know what I mean? And it as I say, diversifies our product as well as anything else, Jono.
Oh, huge. And I'm about 60 to 70% of my business has been local people.
That doesn't surprise me.
And a lot of local people are saying, Jono, it's brilliant now that we have something that, you know, the tourists were coming with their kayaks and their stand-up paddles and their surfboards. And now there's something for us. And we've now realized that places like Teelan Bay and Fintra and all that along that coastline is a phenomenal place. And they now can get into it safely and realize what a resource they have. Plus then your tourists who kind of come by and are picking up the flyer, the leaflet, or hearing about it. And I had people in caves, and when we came out of the cave and a dolphin comes in underneath us, and they're like, I thought we were just going to go around the beach for an hour. You know, so it's actually pushing people out of their comfort zones and realizing they can have an amazing experience that, and people of all levels and abilities. Is very inclusive as well. I think sometimes we exclude people because of how they look or how maybe what ability they have or don't have, where we think, but actually things like stand-up paddling and surfing and these sort of things can be done for, I've had all walks of life, and it's really, and so that I have to kind of pinch myself as I grab my paddle and put on my shorts to go out for a paddle into a cave, you know, it's my job. But
of course, but it doesn't happen. You feel lucky, but these don't happen by luck. You have to come up with a business plan. You have to, I presume, invest greatly in materials. Then you have to get the right supports, and it's a credit to you that you're able to enjoy what feels like luck, but it's graft and hard work and the right supports. Jono, before I go back to Laura, in terms of the season, are we widening the season out at all, or is it still a relatively narrow season, or what's the story?
No, you see, with equipment nowadays and the advancement in wetsuits and gear, we can really get people on the water come March to November. You can get people out in the water. You can go all year, but it's a bit tougher in December and January. But the mountains are great in the wintertime as well. So it is an all year round thing. Yes, the high season will be summer and the high season will be between Easter and Halloween, but very doable. I also do a little bit of work with schools as well. I next week I do a transition year program for some schools in Dublin coming up to Donegal, hoping to connect with local schools. So we do like transition year programs, spiritual retreats where we take people surfing. So that happens more in the autumn and the spring. So and we've
seen the amazing work that's being done down in the likes of Rossnala, that connection to the water and what it can mean for people depending on where they're at in their lives. Laura, also I presume this is an opportunity for people to sort of understand the work of the DLDC, because you could have someone with the best idea in the world or whatever it might be, and they may simply not be aware that DLDC exists or what they do. No harm to yourself, but we can't presume everyone knows. Yeah,
absolutely. No, absolutely. And this is an opportunity as well. If people have an idea, if you're sitting at home listening with that burning thought of an idea that's been niggling in the back of your head for a few years, come along on the day and speak to one of our team. Our enterprise team will be there. It's a very open, friendly organisation, and there's absolutely no pressure. We'll meet you at your level and on your terms, and there's no pressure to go forward with the business idea. Just come in and explore it. And in some cases, it may be that, that puts it to bed, that it's not for you, which can be closure on that as well. But definitely come in, if you're home, particularly with COVID has made everyone reflect on what they're doing and where they're living, and it's kind of opened up more avenues. So definitely get in touch with us. If you can't come in on the day, drop us an email at info@dldc.org and we'll happily point you in the right direction. So 100%.
Yeah,
our door is always open.
We're speaking to Jono, of course. That's the whole outside adventure and more that he provides. But there'll be businesses, tradespeople, people who have developed beauty products, people who have developed unique gift ideas. This is a quite a diverse mix, let's put it like that.
Absolutely. And it was great to hear that Jono mentioned that so much of his business is local, because I think Donegal people are really good at supporting each other and supporting local businesses. We realise that I mean, each one of these exhibitors, they have gone through the Start Your Own Business program, and now, some of them are only one person still, some have 2 employees, and some will have more. So they're all going to feed back into the local economy, and they're going to use local tax, tax consultants, local solicitors, the renting of local landlords. So it is so important to kind of, support our local people. So we do encourage everyone to come along to the Clanry on the 10th. We're there from 12 until 4. And we also are given vouchers, the spot prizes on the day. So we'll be given vouchers to spend with the exhibitor of your choice on the day. So you can choose who you wish to spend it with.
Nice one.
So it'll be nice and it'll be fun. There'll be music there, and we'll have guest speakers as well. So it'll be a fun day for all.
And Jono, I'm sure with some of the local people that you've dealt with, like some of this equipment can be really quite expensive, and people might not know if they want to invest because they don't know what. I'd say there's people all around that have loved the experience with you and have gone out and bought their own gear and have become really passionate about the sea, and still probably come around for that whole sort of maybe the collective feel or that guided feel to it as well. I mean, you are impacting a lot of people on a lot of different levels, I would say, with what you're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. What I've noticed is a lot of people, especially post pandemic, people want to go on an adventure, but they maybe don't know how to do it, or they don't have the equipment, or they feel safe, or they need the instructions. So there's definitely a need there. But yeah, it's to bring people in safely. There's a lot of reports there from the rescue services that pulling their hair out, chasing paddleboarders out to sea, and so there's a real important safety issue to bring people into water sports safely, so that they can then go on into the industry. So yes, directing people to buy the correct equipment. And then it's lifelong stuff. You buy these boards and equipment and you have it for years, and it impacts. And people say to me, John, it's great now, having had a few sessions with you, I can now go out safely. I know the winds, I know the conditions. And just to say too, just on the DLDC, like that support network has been massive for me. I probably might have been still twiddling my thumbs getting something together, but the encouragement and the support to
just
drive
in relation
off.
to that, John, I'm sure everyone's different, but I just think sometimes people might feel that it's some sort of a weakness or not a failure. I don't know what the right words are, but to engage and deal with the Donegal Local Development Company. Was that an issue for you? Was it no-brainer for you? Do you understand where I'm coming from? That people say, I can do this on my own. I know what I want to do. I don't need any help, in inverted commas.
Oh, big time. And I think there was even a bit of an element of that for me when I had the idea back in the winter. I was like, how do I get going? I had a few contacts in the industry from previous work, but when I got in touch with DLDC, they really, the foundation was there, the encouragement, the support to say, you can do this. And actually, I went through quite quickly. Within a few months, we were getting the business up and running, whereas I would have, if I'd gone on my own, I might have taken way longer. And so just that encouragement to say, you can do this, and we're behind you, and the support. So that's been massive for me. And then the little bit of financial support there as well to help you get going. So the pressure's off to, you don't just make the income doesn't come straight away.
A little safety net, is it? Is that it? Just gives you the space to do what you do best, and clearly what you do well because of your success. Laura, remind us then, this is open to, is it business people? Obviously,
it's open to everybody. Yeah.
Yeah, but you've got invited businesses there, but it's open to the public and maybe people that want more information about the work of the DLDC. Isn't that it?
Absolutely. It's open to everybody. It's open to businesses if they want to come along. It's open to the public. It's free entry. All the exhibitors there have gone through our Start Your Own Business program. So there's businesses of all kinds. So if you're interested in going to shop for the day, but equally, as you mentioned, Greg, if you're interested in Start Your Own Business, we will have our tables there. So come along and speak to us. We'll also have other representatives from other parts of DLDC as well. So if it's not our particular program, we'll point you in the right direction. We'll find the support that you need. So come along on the day. If you have that burning idea at home, just come along and talk to us.
Yep. And the V's and D's, vouchers and discounts as well.
Vouchers and discounts. Yeah, absolutely.
That's more of an additional incentive. Laura, thanks for your time this morning. Anything else you want to add?
Thank you, Greg, for having us on.
Do you want to say anything?
No,
Sorry?
no,
Okay.
it's absolutely not.
All right,
Thank
Laura,
you.
lovely to have you on the programme. Laura Mannion there. Jono, continued success. It's great to see. It's lovely to see someone come up with an idea, it turn into a business, and they can love their business. It makes me feel warm inside. So well done, Jono. Thanks very much for your time.
Thank you. Thanks,
all right, bye-bye, and continued success. That's Jono Griffin there. He's from Wild and Free Adventures. They offer surf, sup, and hiking adventures on the Slieve League Peninsula. And you also heard there from Laura Mannion, who's the communications manager with DLDC. Take my hand! Alright, that is Picture This and Take My Hand. Mary McLaughlin from Drumma Valley, Ballernirna in Limavady, wishing you a happy 70th birthday from Mary and Dennis. Good luck to the Glenfin minor girls in the county final, please and thank you. Hope you do well, I'm sure you will. Mickey Callahan's in Remelton today, 85th birthday. Happy birthday coming into you, Mickey, from Mags. Right, okay. We're going to be talking about place names, by the way, with historian Dr. Joe Kelly. So if you have any, and it hasn't come from the conversation we had about road signs and stuff. People were defacing road signs, scribbling out the English. But then we started talking about really that a lot of these English names mean nothing, and that the Irish is here and nobody knows what's happening with them. It's all being kept very quiet. Does anybody know? Paul McLaughlin also is coming up from the garden centre as well, by the way, if you have any gardening questions. I want to know when the grass is going to stop growing so I don't have to cut it anymore. When is this march being planned for? It needs plenty of time for people to arrange to go. When it is... when is it? It's the 24th. Marie was back on, say I pronounced her name wrong. It's Marie, not Marie. However, I've never mentioned parties like Sinn Féin or Banners. I'm talking about all of the people and their leaders as speakers, workers' union speakers, etc. It's that's the way people think about speakers. It's no wonder the government do what they want. But those aren't the speakers I'm talking about either. You see, you've presumed the speakers I was talking about and then put it into your point of view, and then you're presuming I'm talking about another group of speakers and then counter-arguing it yourself with your own point of view. I am talking about the fact that if you have speakers that disenfranchise any group of people, then your attendance will fall. It's not. I'm not organising it. Okay, there will be speakers because there'll be people that will think, right, you know what? I've got such and such 1,000 people here. I'm going to have a good old chat now, and will it be for their benefit or the people's benefit? I don't know. Which unions are you talking of? Will it be the teachers' unions? They're just out of negotiations with the government. Maybe they won't be motivated to be there. I don't know. But I'm not organising it. The organisers will organise it. We'll see how many people turn up. We'll see who the speakers are, and then we'll have a post-mortem and see what the story is. Politicians rubbing their hands when they mention pay rises. They just get richer. €108,000 base pay, that is. Can you imagine €108,000? You would just never have to worry about things. And that's your base pay. Then you get expenses and stuff as well. Families are struggling, says this caller, with children going back to school. It's expense after expense. A pound of butter is now €4. It's time to take to the streets and fight for ourselves. I'm keeping my lights off now while I can before the dark evenings are here. Greg, our ESB bill has gone up by €25, which isn't too bad for a family of four, to be honest. With all the chat about inflation, I was bracing myself for much worse. Are you submitting meter readings on that bill? When was the last time your bill was checked? Because, someone's talking about it can be sometimes at this time, and just be careful of the advice that you see on social media. Sometimes it might be actually better for you to be on predicted meetings. What do they call that? Where they don't actually read your meter, estimated bills. Sometimes it's a benefit to be on estimated bills, so keep an eye on that. Anna Maria on Facebook. Talk to a friend. She lives in Spain. A pint is around €2 to €3. A coffee and a tapa €1.50. Petrol less than €1.30. In Germany, prices have gone up, but not as much as here. Well, in Germany now, they're switching dimming lights in public buildings and public spaces to try and save gas. That's what's happening in Germany. Right. Okay. Let's take a break whilst we line Joe Kelly up.
Anyone aged 12 or over with a long-term health condition can now boost their protection from COVID-19. Your protection from previous vaccines or from COVID-19 infection decreases over time. Your next vaccine will help protect you from serious illness in the months ahead. For more information or to book an appointment at a HSE vaccination centre, visit hse.ie. Call our team in HSE Live on 1800 700 700 or contact a participating GP or pharmacy. From the HSE, for us all.
For all your health and beauty needs, you can always rely on McGee's Chemist in Letterkenny. If you need a prescription, just call or order online at mcgees.ie and it will be ready for you in advance before you arrive. For beauty and skin care, there's all the big names at great prices in store and online. And for your photo printing needs, simply download the McGee's Photo Prints app or click on the website link. McGee's Chemist, Main Street, Letterkenny. For all your health and beauty needs and so much more. Call 91-21409 or visit mcgees.ie.
Do you know how green skills can benefit you as an employee? Skills to Advance has a range of green skills courses to help you develop new skills, future-proof your job, and access highly subsidised flexible training. For more information, contact your local education and training board or visit skillstoadvance.ie. Boost skills, boost business with Skills to Advance. Brought to you by Sulis and the ETBs, an initiative of the Government of Ireland.
Join us on Highland for the concluding round of the group stages in the Donegal Senior Championship this Sunday. There's still a few places to be sorted out in the battle for the quarter-finals and who drops to the relegation playoffs. There's 8 games on Sunday, with the Battle of Naomh Conaill and Gweedore our feature match. We'll also have reporters at the other key ties. Highland's championship coverage is with Highland Motors Letterkenny, main Renault dealer in Donegal. The much anticipated new 100% electric, multi-award winning Renault Megane E-Tech is nearly here. With a range of up to 495 kilometres, a test drive is a must. Book yours today.
The renowned Gallon Hotel Group Ballybuffet, featuring the Villa Rose and Jackson's Hotels, are hosting their Autumn Wedding Showcase on Sunday, September the 11th from 1 till 4 p.m. Take the opportunity to view both venues fully dressed and meet with the wedding teams. Find out more on gallongroup.com.
All right, good morning, Dr. Joe Kelly. Let's go back in history. How are you keeping?
Why good hen, Greg, it was a luck day, good morning to yourself and to your listeners in Highland Radio.
It's great to have you on. Right, before we talk about Irish place names and their meanings, when did English versions of these names begin to appear?
Yeah, well, obviously, see, place names in Ireland are very unique. Maybe this is where we need to start because it just isn't English. Ireland is very, very unique, and many other countries in the world actually have come to see how we have a place names commission that was set up. I think it was De Valera that set it up when he got into government back in the 30s or the 40s. And there's about 70,000 Irish place names, roughly. And those place names aren't just names like Victoria Street, Victoria Drive. They're far richer than just a name, and they show a history. If you look at the name of a place in Irish, it will tell you maybe the era it belonged to. For example, Doon or Liss or Cashel, that would be pre-Christian. Or you might have something like Fjord. Well, that would be telling you that the Normans came in and using the Vikings came in their language. Or you might have, for example, Killa or Dona, or religious names would tell us that was Christian period. But most of the Irish place names, about 90% of them would be topographical. They would explain something to do with the nature, the mountains, the plants, the animals, something that was to do with the geography in the area. So successive generations and centuries of formation of our place names have happened. So the Anglicization of them happened in about 1836. John O'Donovan, who was a professor of Irish at Queen's in Belfast, and he was sent out to go through the whole of Ireland to gather and translate the place names for the maps. So when the English were mapping Ireland, they had to give them a name. And so he was sent out and he tried to explain then the names from the Irish into the English. But in some cases, those names didn't translate correctly. And so therefore, that's where the difficulty is. And I have to be very careful. I'm going to be talking about place names and particularly maybe Donegal today. There's a lot of not sure exactly the meaning of every place name. There is what they say in Irish, now Jevniha, not confirmed.
Well, if anyone wants to fight you, I'll back you up, all right? So we'll start off with that. You're going to have to take two of us on. So talk to me somewhere. Well, let's start with Lahey, because there's a list here. Lahey, Laghy. or
Lahi,
EY,
well,
depending on the signpost you look at.
Is that your hometown?
It is indeed, eh?
I was going to say it's the place of the cantankerous bearded broadcaster. But
that's for future generations. What is it? Well, historically, what's it known as?
Lahi traditionally would mean a muddy place, somewhere that's muddy. So that's Lahi in Irish, yeah, a little muddy place. Obviously, there must have been some floods there or a damp place. So that would be coming across as Lahi. Yeah, that would be that. Now, there's obviously different interpretations, but Lahi,
no, that's the one I've heard before. You have confirmed it.
Okay,
so can we give an example? Before we go through it? And if you want to message in where you're from, by the way, we'll try and, as best as we can, we'll try and sort of establish what the place names mean. So can we talk about one that was bastardised then, effectively? Do you know what I mean? Yeah. What is an obvious one in Donegal that the English version that's there now bears no relevance or no obvious relevance to the original or the Irish version of the name?
Well, that happens throughout the whole of Ireland. And just a simple one, for example, nationally would be Phoenix Park. Yeah, it makes no sense at all. It's Park and Fear Ishke, the true water, but that sounded to the English as Phoenix, so they wrote it down as Phoenix Park, which is not the case. Now, in Donegal, there's numerous examples where the actual English name is not in the Irish, if that makes sense. So, for example,
is Dunlow an example?
Yeah, Dunlow's an example. St. Johnson's. I'll start maybe with St. Johnson, then move to Dunlow.
Yeah.
St. Johnson, for example, was named after the man that inherited, named it after the mapper, the ordnance mapper, and during the plantation about the 1650s. And it was Sir, I think it was Oliver St. Johnson, so that was the name St. Johnson. But if you put that into Irish, it's Bala and Tugan. No connection at all. And Ballintugan means the town of the ropes. Sugan are ropes that were used to tie down the thatch. Wow. There's a place in Lohanure, a castle in Tugan, the turning of the Tugan, it's a pub there. So that's the Sugan. So again, Milford's another example. It doesn't translate into Irish. Milford, there are a number of Milfords in Ireland, but Milford, if it was to be translated into Irish directly, would be Mullen, Fjord Mullen or Mullen Fjord. But in Irish, it's Ballinagallogla, the town, and Gal is a foreigner, as in Donegal, Gal, and Ogley were the army. The IRA used to call themselves the Ogley. The Irish army called themselves Ogley and Naheer and Ogley. And these were young warriors, mercenaries that were taken from Scotland to fight with the O'Neills and O'Donnells. So the meaning of Milford in Irish is Ballinagall Ogley, the town of the young foreigners, the young foreigner mercenaries. So that's a totally different.
But it's so meaningful. It talks to the history of that area.
Yeah, well, that's an example. And then you mentioned Dunlow. You see, if I were to say to your listeners, what's the Irish for Dublin? And everyone would say Ballaclia. Well, that's actually incorrect. The Irish for Dublin is Dúflin. Dú meaning black, Lin snav, a pool. Dúflin means black pool. So Ballaclia, the town of the Fjord of Clia, that's a different place, but it's given to the county, Ballaclia. But the actual Dúflin means Dublin. It means Blackpool. And another example is Dunlow. So if you spray out Dunlow because it's English, well, you're actually Dún glow. We're not 100% sure of what the glow means, but it means contention or noise. So, or it could be cloy, which is stone, the fort of stone, the fort of contention. But an Cleochanlia, which is the Irish version of Dunlow, means that the grey stones, the grey stepping stones, which is like grey stones in Wicklow. So again, the English and the Irish totally different, but the roots are in the Irish language. So there's a lot of examples of that throughout the country.
Someone messaged me Downings. They want to know Downings.
Well, the Irish for Downings is Dúnaf. Dún is the same as Dúnagal forts. So na Dúnaf. Possibly there must have been a number of forts, and you have the kind of the inlet there, so maybe there was a number of forts. And then in Downings as well, you have Rossgill. So Ross, and this comes back to maybe we were talking about Dunlow, the Rosses is a bit of headland that juts out, usually a high piece of land. So Rossgill, we're not sure what the Gill is. Believe it could be a person's name. So the headland of Gill.
So that peninsula is of a person, perhaps. Malin,
Yeah, Malin, from my understanding, means a ridge, a brow or a ridge of a hill. If you're going along and you have other places like in Keeldrum, the narrow ridge. So again, that's what Malin would come from. Yeah.
Derry.
Well, Derry is a complicated one.
That is exactly why I said to you, Derry.
Derry means forest, oak forest, yeah.
Yeah.
And would have been known as Derry Columcilla. Columcilla's oak forest, but before that it was known as Derry Calga, Cilgach, or Aich in the old Irish spelling, and it means Calga was a famous warrior. Yeah, so that's what it really comes from, the oak forest of Columcilla or the oak forest of Calga. So that would be an old name for Derry. And again, we've talked before about it, people might have problems with Londonderry, but if you look at Ludun, which is London, Lu means the god of light, which is August, Lu, and gives you the month Lunasa in Irish, August, and Dún is fort as in Donegal, so Ludun means the fort of Lu, and that's the same Lu that gives you France, Lyon, or the Leiden is another town there, Leydn, Leydun, Ludun. And if you twist that back to front, you get Dún Lu, which is Dunlewy and Donegal.
Right,
so
okay.
The Celts were being pushed by the Romans out, up through Europe, up through England, and then out eventually onto the periphery of Ireland. So these names, place names, they may be politically divisive today, but if we go back far enough, Lemavadi, where the dog jumped. But there's history and culture in it, and these places aren't. They give us a sense of identity and a place and an understanding of our history and our culture, and it's terribly, terribly important.
Okay, people are texting in, and because of the time of the year, we don't necessarily have as much of your time as we would like. What does the name Mount Charles mean in Irish translation of the name? Now, this is the controversy, because if you call Mount Charles Mount Charles, the English, you mispronounce the English, it's pretty controversial. But anyway, Mount Charles.
It's actually one of there's a few place names I love. I love the Irish version of Mount Charles, and I love the Irish version of Church Hill. But Mount Charles, obviously, again, this is where you're asking me about when did the Anglicization of names come. It obviously tells you that it's a planter's town. That it was called after Charles, the man that inherited it from the plantation of Ulster. So therefore, he renamed it after himself, Charles Cunningham, Mount Charles, the town of Charles Cunningham. But if you go into the Irish, it's Towna and Tallinn, beautiful. And Towna is an old Irish word for field, and Salin is salt, and Gran is sal is a pinch of salt. So the field of salt.
So would that have been a rich area, I wonder, because salt obviously was a high value commodity. It was a currency effectively at one time. Is that in any way connected?
I'm not sure. Again, there are people maybe like Helen Meehan would have more knowledge.
So what would the Irish name be above a signpost to Mount Charles then?
Well, it would be Towna and Tallinn.
Okay, excellent, brilliant. Okay,
but you can't also say it's not Mount Charles. You see, you have to honour our history. You see, when we got independence in 1921, we didn't go around destroying all the English buildings that were in our country. I mean, ours in Uachtaran, which was a former building, interestingly, built initially by Lord Leitrim's great-great-granduncle or whatever, but they were British colonial buildings. And it showed British symbolism.
So, so I don't want to drag you into the signpost controversy, because that's not the nature of it. So are you saying, really, if someone scores out an English name of a place, it's been selective about history, that actually the English names on the signs are part of our history, and in some cases actually have really quite an important meaning to that area, and you can't it's not airbrushing that out. It's not necessarily a protest against England and the English. It has far more meaning than so.
And in many cases, that is the case. And even, that is true. No, that's not all cases. And it creates a little bit of difficulty that we're maybe then selecting what history. We're a culture of peoples that have invaded us for generations. If we look at the old manuscripts again, the Book of Invasion, Lower Gowland, the hearing that there was 6 invasions until the Celts came. We're a people that are constantly changing. And our place names tell us that.
Okay.
And look, part of our history was that we were colonised, and therefore place names. And we're not going to just get a pen.
In some parts of Eastern Europe now, they're pulling down, Russian monuments and what have you. So it does happen. Not conflating, but what does mean? Like in mean more, mean bad, mean elect?
Yeah. Mean means a plain, like a flat plain mean. And you'd say mean more like the
big flats.
Plain. Yeah, and more means big. Like, so there's, for example, another one is in Dunlewy at the bottom of Errigal. There's money big, money bug, and money more. It's not that the people there are multi-millionaires, but Munya means a shrubbery. So the big area of shrubbery and the small area of shrubbery. So if you're going gold digging in Dunlewy, it's not what Munya more and Munya bug means.
Charlie on Facebook says bun beg. It doesn't mean the wee bottom.
No, that's the beauty of place names. It's in Gidor, right? And Gidor means an outlet to the sea, and Dor is an old Irish word for river. So that was Gidor. So then there you have,
so descriptive. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
So it talks of the river. It talks of the river entering the estuary.
Yeah. And that gives you then, if you go, for example, the Bun Bug, this is just a small, Bun means river, Bun Bug, the small river, Bug means small, and Bun means river, another old Irish word, Bun Bug.
Charlie, get your mind out of the gutter. It's not wee bum. Come here. People are fascinated by these place names, and we're so short in time. Newtown Cunningham, Manor Cunningham. We believe it was two brothers who named our villages.
I'm not sure as to the historical background to it, but obviously they're a planter town name, both of them, Newtown Cunningham and Manor Cunningham. And again, what we've done in the Irish sense of it is we've put Irish on the English name.
So the original name is the English name, and we've actually, so the Irish name on a sign to those two places actually postdates the English name.
Yes, some of these towns were, as I said, planters' town, and therefore, but that's not in all cases. There would be places there in Newton Cunningham and Manor Cunningham that would have place names as well in Irish, but obviously the plantation town. And like Raphoe is another example. Raphoe is a beautiful, beautiful place name. Rah meaning, it's Ardaises as well. Rah means a fort. Rah usually tells you it's a pre-Christian, usually wooden. Anything with cashel would be stone. So Rah and Woe, Bohan is the Irish word for a little hut. So the wooden little hut would be, and it's the same word as Bah, as in probably in Hebrew the word Bethlehem, the house of bread, Beth. So it crosses languages as well. So Raphoe is a beautiful. And
in 30 seconds, I heard a townland was defined by how many cows it could graze. Any knowledge to that?
Yes. The divisions were done in different ways. Carhu, like Carhu Cannon. Carhu means a quarter land. Shisha means a sixth land. So the Shisha Lake there out in Port na Blah. You have places like Bala na Ba. So how much grass a cow would need, usually about 3 to 4 acres, depending on the arability of the land. Some land in northwest Donegal was worse. So the cow's land, that was measurement. And if you go back to the ancient law as well, things were divided up into cow lands. Okay. Cow was the currency of communication.
Stop saying interesting stuff just before we have to leave. You have to go to class and I have to go to the news.
One before we go, I think it's a beautiful one, is convoy. Because it's con, board na gon. The con is another Irish word for dog, like madu or coo, and maya means plain. So the plain of the dogs.
Oh, lovely.
That's convoy. And again, if you look at the Canary Islands, they were taken over by the Romans. Canary comes from the Latin canine, means dog. So canine teeth, canis is the Latin for dog. So Canary Islands actually are called the Dog Islands. The bird came subsequent to the naming of the island. So Dog Islands. So you have the dog plains in Convoy, and you have the Dog Islands if you're ever going on holidays to the Canaries again.
We need to revisit this or do a specific podcast on it or something. Listen, thanks very much as always for your time. I really appreciate it. Take care. That is Dr. Joe Kelly. We'd love more time, but unfortunately he's at work and everything as well. So that's where we're at. Okay, it's 11 o'clock already. Can you believe it's 11 o'clock, Emma?
No.
It's hard to believe, isn't it? Where do these mornings go? Okay, right. It is 11 o'clock. Another hour on the show. We're going to be in the garden. So much more besides. But let's catch up what's happening in the world of news. And we do say good morning now to Ms. Emma Ryan.
Thanks, Greg. Good morning. 16 people will learn today if they'll be prosecuted over the Greenfield hotel tragedy in County Tyrone. 3 teenagers were killed in a crush as they queued to get into a disco at the Cookstown venue in 2019. 5 police officers were interviewed over their response to the tragedy, while 11 others were also investigated. The North's Public Prosecution Service will reveal this afternoon whether anyone will be charged. The Health Information and Quality Authority has published 3 inspection reports on designated centres for people with disabilities in Donegal. One non-compliance was found at Abbey Village Group Homes in Kilmacrennan and another in Sleeve Glass, Carnamugga, Letterkenny. The reports explain that management at the inspected centres have already begun working to rectify any issues which were discovered. Full links to the full reports are available on our website at highlandradio.com. Stephen Donnelly says he's not considering his position as Health Minister amid controversy over one of his rental properties. He blamed an oversight for failing to register a property with the RTB since 2019. He says it's now registered since last week. It comes after a renewed focus on landlord TDs following the resignation of Robert Troy as Junior Minister last week over controversy around his 11 properties. Minister Donnelly says it shouldn't have happened and it's his fault. A Donegal TD is urging people to support the cost of living protest which is taking place in Dublin on Saturday, September 24th. Independent Deputy Thomas Pringle says it's important that a very strong message is sent to the government ahead of the budget, particularly in terms of the rising energy costs and electricity prices. On today's 9 till noon show, Deputy Pringle said other European governments are passing laws to limit price rises, and the Irish government mantra that it's powerless to act must be firmly challenged. And finally, a Cork TD is arguing that a standalone university in Derry would promote and better facilitate a larger programme of North-South student exchanges. Fine Gael TD Colin Burke says expanding university provision in Derry will provide additional opportunities and more choices for students. That's all for now. We'll be back with a news update again at 12 o'clock. But until then, good morning.
Thank you very much indeed. Okay, we're going to be talking about school buses and school bus places and people missing out on school bus places. It's complicated. There's enough going on at the moment with people having to deal with this. But anyway, we're going to highlight it as much as we can and chase it up as much as we can. That's coming up after these messages.
School's back, so you'll probably want healthy snacks that can fit in a lunchbox. Luckily, Lidl has bags of savings on fresh fruit, like loose easy peelers only 19 cent, fun-sized Pink Lady apples just 99 cent, and snack carrots at a bite-sized 49 cent. That's big discounts in small sizes. School days cost less at Lidl. More for you.
The Donegal Cheviot and Cheviot Cross Breeders Group will hold their 4th annual sale of Cheviots, Cheviot Mules, Suffolk Cross Cheviots, Cheviot Cross Black-Faced Hogget Yos and Yo Lambs on Friday the 2nd of September in Stranorlar Mart at 6. The sales will also be online on the LSL app at 6 with a view of stock from 2. This ad is kindly sponsored by Lynch Brothers, Northwest Plant Hire, Linsford, Buncrana.
Do you currently have vacancies that need urgently filled? Have you tried various ways to find new staff but didn't succeed? Let Highland Radio help you source and fill your current vacancies in the most cost-effective way. Simply sign up to our new job spot and we will tell our listeners about your vacancies both on air and online. Every Monday, Wednesday and Friday during our primetime shows, we will broadcast the latest job opportunities across the Northwest and into counties Derry and Tyrone. All job listings will be available online at highlandradio.com. For more information, contact the advertising team on 07491 25322 or email advertising@highlandradio.com. Highland Radio, we're here for you.
And now, Ethna, thanks for joining us. Good morning to you.
How are you, Greg?
I'm okay, Ethna. Come here, tell us your story. What's happening?
I went onto the family portal at the beginning of the week to find out what was happening with my son's school bus ticket because I hadn't received one yet, and it said on the system that there were no seats available at the minute.
And had he a seat last year, or is he starting this school this year?
No, he had a seat last year, and the application, we were told back at the beginning of July that we would receive an email by the end of July to say that, to inform us about his ticket.
To confirm it, you would have presumed
and it
once he
also
was...
said...
Sorry, go ahead, Ethna. I was going to say,
no,
you would presume because he got the ticket in first year last year that this is just automatic. It's continued to roll then, would you?
It is. That's what it says on the system. It said that any students that if your child received a ticket last year, that it just carried on. They renewed the ticket for them once the old one ran out.
Mm. Was your son's a concessionary ticket?
It wasn't, no.
Right, okay.
He was, yeah.
Right, so...
He was entitled.
Then at what point did it sort of dawn on you that he didn't have a seat? Was it when they said a seat wasn't there, and when were you told that?
Well, the portal was closed because they closed it because of the, I suppose... So I assumed the ticket sometime, like last year, the ticket was fairly late. Like it was the last week before he went back that he got a ticket.
Yeah.
I knew that we were told, I suppose, there was going to be extra tickets sent out, so we allowed for that, I suppose.
Mm-hmm.
They closed the portal because they were inundated, I suppose, with applications. And I just assumed, because of what they said, that it would go through automatically and he would get his ticket. But we never received an email. And when we sent an email to Stranorler, Microsoft sent a message saying that they weren't receiving emails at the minute.
Wow.
So it didn't even get to them. They're not, they've switched off.
Right, so then you rang them up this week.
Yes.
Talk to me about that conversation.
I rang Stranorler, but they give you a number to ring in Dublin. So I rang Dublin, and after almost an hour, I eventually got through. And it's just a helpline, which is of no help, to be honest. Like, she couldn't really... She was a lovely lady on the phone. There's nothing she could do to help me. She couldn't change anything. She said, unfortunately, that's just... they probably won't change their mind now. And all she could do was pass on my information.
And you have lost out, your son has lost out in his seat, really, because we believe, do we, that they're given on a lottery system. In other words, the child next door, if there were one, they could have got the seat and your son didn't, just by pure luck, or that situation could have been reversed if it is a lottery system. Okay, that line's dropped out, but it will come back. Ethna, can you hear me?
Everybody's, now don't get me wrong, I think it's great that, they're giving all the children free transport to school. I don't have a problem with that at all.
Mm-hmm.
They're all entitled to get to school. But I think that all the new applications were sorted first, and then they kind of left the other ones to last, maybe.
And have you been told, if they're trying to provide another bus, how many other children on this bus route have missed out? I mean, have you been given any information at all, or are you being told that, right, that's it, sorry, you've missed out? You can't go through a year like this, because my understanding is, Ethna, this is even worse for you because you don't drive.
No, I don't drive. I can't. Even it's still like, I suppose if I could drive in school, maybe, you could sort something, but I don't drive. No, I'm actually doing my theory test in September.
But your son's entitled to a bus place, so don't put any pressure on yourself.
I've applied for it anyway. But
exactly, he's entitled to a bus place. How far is it to school, Ethna, from where you are? We don't need
3 miles.
Right, so it's a significant distance in the summer, let alone in a cold, dark winter. So what is this? What position has this left you in now, Ethna?
Well, I don't know what to do. He's back at school tomorrow morning. I was hoping, I suppose, there's always that wee hope, maybe that the ticket will come through the door. And I keep checking the portal to see if it's changed. I've even checked it before I spoke to you this morning, just to make sure, but nothing's changed. And as I said, the lady on the helpline can't do anything. She couldn't give me no information. It's Stranorler, really, I suppose, I need to talk to.
Yeah, but they've already directed you to Dublin. Yeah,
they've redirected me to Dublin, to someone who doesn't...
All right, that phone line's gone again on us. Ethna, it's back with us. Ethna, so... what does it say on the portal, just so we're clear? It says when you open up the portal, I haven't done it yet, but what does it say in the portal as it relates to your son's bus ticket?
It gives his name. It says ticket. Below ticket, it says ticket issued, and it says no. And application has been submitted. And the next one, under category, then it says, sorry, there are currently no seats available.
Wow.
That's what it says. And like I said, sure, who do I talk to? Like, the helpline, that lady can't help me. What am I supposed to do tomorrow morning?
You know, I don't know. I
haven't decided yet what to do.
It's an awful worry. Do you know if any other, how many other children are affected by this? Have you any idea, Ethna?
Well, to be honest now, I mean, I don't put many posts on Facebook, but I did actually the last day to see if any other parents in the area had, and not one parent, no one answered me, and anybody, like, I'm from the town, I know a lot of people, and Keegan has friends and stuff. He doesn't mind me saying his name, by the way.
Well, do you want to mention the town? I hope so. Do you want to mention the town?
No one else is in...
Sorry? If you don't mind mentioning where you're from then and where the school is.
No, I don't mind mentioning
say that then and
it.
we'll see if anyone else is in the same boat.
In Convoy. Convoy.
Okay,
yeah.
right, okay. So anyone else in Convoy who had a ticket last year particularly, I think, who didn't get a ticket this year, get in touch with us till we get an idea of the extent of this problem. Because I'll tell you what's worse about this situation, Ethna. It's a stress and a worry for you, but it's actually not knowing what's going on. Is that it? Case closed? Are they looking to put on more buses? Are they waiting on funding?
Yeah.
Is it lots of different people are affected? Is it just you? You know, you've enough to be dealing with, I am sure, without all those unanswered questions. And I think you deserve answers to those questions.
Yeah.
We will try and
I can't get... Yeah.
We're going to try and see what the story is. There's a wee delay in this line, Ethna. Sorry, and it's dropping. So, but we've got the message loud and clear. Keep listening, or we'll let you know what we hear from other listeners in the Convoy area. And I just, you're a young boy. Like, it's stressful enough going back to school, even if you've been there a year before. I mean, if he says to you, Mom, how are we getting to school tomorrow? Like, and you can pull a favour or something. But then what about Monday? What about all next week? What about in the dark days of November? Do you know what I mean? Like, this is no way to treat people.
Yeah, it's not even about going, getting in it and then getting back out again. Home. And like, it's public bus airing is public transport.
Yeah. Okay.
Everybody's entitled to public transport, no matter what. Like.
All right. Okay.
If he has no ticket, he can't get on.
Ethna, leave it with us to see if anything comes from the conversation. Thanks for your time, and I hope something happens positively for you and your family. All right, Ethna, take care of yourself. Thank you very much indeed. More of your comments. 2 of our children went to school yesterday but couldn't get on the bus because their ticket hadn't come yet. Despite being granted one, they just hadn't arrived in the post. The inspector told them not to travel again without the ticket. All my children have had to travel this way. I've no other way of getting them to school. This free school bus system has left so many people in disarray. If you've been okayed for a ticket and you haven't received it yet, surely, and I don't know, maybe this inspector is sticking to the rules, I don't know, but surely you should be able to demonstrate proof by way of confirmation, email, webpage, whatever it might be, so that young people aren't left on the side of the road and to made feel like idiots maybe in some cases because they know they've got a bus place but they can't get on because they've got a ticket. This is really where we've come to now in our society, that 2 children are not allowed on the bus even though they have a seat because they don't physically have the ticket. And people who operate buses or drive buses might say that if they allow children on with buses, on buses without tickets, and they're stopped or an inspector comes on, maybe there's... I'm not blaming... I don't know at what point the problem is, but there's a problem there somewhere. Is there? Is there not? A caller says, if it was me, I'd ring the school and tell them the child can't go to school until they can get it sorted. I understand exactly where you're coming from, and that's a little bit like don't pay your electricity bill as a protest. The problem is who's damaged in that whole situation? It's the child. The child's sitting at home. How long do you stick it out for? If they don't sort it, if they play hardball, do you leave your child sitting at home for 3 weeks and then you have to send that child back in 3 weeks? They've lost 3 weeks of school. Their mates have met other friends. Like, I know what you're saying, and it seems like it puts the ball in someone else's court, but that doesn't really recognise what you would have to deal with in telling a child, look, you're not going to school like all of your friends because I'm making a protest against bus airing. Do you know, like it on paper, it looks like a good idea, but sometimes with some of these suggestions, we have to think about the lived reality of what that would mean. Hi, Greg. Tell that lady you have to look for a ticket every year. I know it's years since my crew started on school buses, and you always have to go online to book a seat, and there's a closing date. I think it's June. I think I got the impression from Ethna, though, that she did check the portal before the date closed. I did have tickets issued, but had such bother getting them. Tell the lady to ring, and we have a number here. It's an Offaly school bus transport number. These ladies helped me out so much, and they'll lodge the query for you. This is what's happened to me, and within 1 hour they had me sorted. In Stranraer is chaos. So we have that number here, which is that being passed on to Ethna? It's a number they're suggesting Ethna should ring. Right, let's get to Clonmany now, because there seems to be a big issue in Clonmany. I want to read out some comments from listeners in that area. I am a parent in Clonmany. The school bus didn't leave till 9 a.m. because there was overcrowding. By 9 a.m, the kids should be starting class. There was an extra 4 kids on the bus this morning. 2 families didn't send their kids because they knew of the overcrowding despite having a ticket. There are about 10 kids without seats. 1 child got off because he was just so overwhelmed. No one is helping us. We can't get anywhere with bus Erin. Another. My 2 kids ended up half an hour late for school this morning because the bus couldn't leave. We had to wait for another bus. 1 is in first year and is stressed out enough without this. An inspector was on the bus yesterday, and it appears 40 tickets were issued, but the bus only holds 32. It makes no sense. What is going on? Hi, delighted to hear Highland Radio is making the public aware of the school bus chaos. I have no tickets for my children. Both are status eligible, 1 in primary, 1 in secondary. The primary school bus route was only established last year, and I invested time and energy to help getting enough pupils together to run a bus. This year, all seats are taken. My child's left behind. Bus Erin did not help. I am in contact with politicians trying to find carpools, babysitters, new after-school care, not a hope, and ready to give up a permanent job. They helped get the critical mass together to justify a bus run. Their child's not on the bus. Back to Clonmany. Once again, my son's been left behind with no way to school because I'm at work. Eventually, a second bus arrived, but he was late for school and it left him very distressed. What is going on? And more highlighting the issue in Clonmany. Hopefully, is that one maybe, if they can provide a second bus. The service has been oversubscribed. That sounds like that might be sorted. Maybe I'm being naive or optimistic. Ethna's situation seems very different, but maybe it's not. Okay, so that's a sense of what's going on with the school transport system. Keep your calls and comments coming to us. 086 60 25,000.
There are 3 lucky winners on Highland Radio who have one thing in common. They can still win big in our mega summer draw. €2,500 will be given away on the Naughty Alarm Clock on Friday the 2nd of September. But that's not all, because we have left the biggest prize till last. You could win €10,000 in cash. Yes, that's right. Greg Hughes will be ringing one lucky person on Friday the 2nd of September at 11:30 a.m. Have you bought your tickets yet? You can go to highlandradio.com, click on the link, answer a simple question and purchase a ticket for €10, 6 for €50 or 10 for €80. What would you do with 10 grand in cash?
Hello, how can I help you?
I'm looking to claim on my insurance policy.
Okay, and what type of chip do you need to claim for?
It's not a chip. I was in a minor accident.
And was your windscreen chipped in this accident?
No, it's just my backlight and the bumper.
So your windscreen is not chipped?
No.
Unfortunately, our policies only cover chips.
Do you get the feeling that you're not getting the right cover? Well, at Local Insurance, we are Irish owned and understand your needs. Call us today for a bespoke quote on 0818 894 444. Local Insurance, we'll get you sorted. The Local Insurance Network, DAC Trading's Local Insurance, is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland. Local Insurance is a tied insurance intermediary of Acorn Brokerage Limited. Acorn Brokerage Limited, trading as Acorn Insurance, is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
Hi, Marty Friel here. Hope you can join me this and every Friday night from 8 till 10 p.m. with Rockin' Hits on Highland Radio. In association with Arena 7 Letterkenny. Check out Arena 7 Bowling, 10 state-of-the-art bowling lanes, surround sound, stylish seating and funky lighting. And with yours truly playing all the party hits every Saturday night. See arena7.ie.
This week at Centra, choose amazing mega deals in our better than half price sale. Like Robinson's Fruit Shoot 4-pack, now $1.83. Kellogg's selected cereals like Rice Krispies 700g, now $2.92. And Nature Valley Family Pack 10 bars, now $3.45. Smart choices, choose Centra. Centra, live every day.
What's your dream job? Lawyer, engineer, criminologist, or software developer? Do you want to develop renewable energies, create the next great drama, or improve people's health? Anything is possible at Ulster University Magee campus, where you can study in the heart of Derry, Londonderry. Clearing places are now available to help you realise your ambitions. It's time to say hello future. Apply now for September 2022 at ulster.ac.uk.
New farm schemes get the green light. For more in your Farmer's Journal, here's Paul Mooney.
EU Commission approves Ireland's CAP plan. We reveal how grain growers get just 1 cent from a pint of stout. Fears over fertiliser supply for next spring. Farmers will foot bill for extra TB testing. Have we reached peak milk price? Demand for firewood soars, and ram prices increased by €46 a head.
Plus, don't miss our focus on autumn animal health. Inside this week's Irish Farmer's Journal, on sale now.
Your Longcomb free gift is waiting for you at McElhinney's. Simply buy 2 Longcomb products and receive the ultimate beauty routine. Your gift includes a full-size Beavisil cleanser, a 7-piece travel set, plus choose from our Absolute or Hydrozen skincare collection to complete your gift. Exclusively in-store and online at mcilhenneys.com until September 17th while stocks last.
Hello, Greg Hughes here, inviting you to join us for a special 2-hour show this Sunday as we broadcast live from the London Irish Vintage Club's 10th annual Vintage Day on the grounds of Tyrconnell Gales. We've loads of special guests, live music and plenty of crack. That's this Sunday, live on Highland Radio from 12 noon, or watch the show on our website, YouTube or Facebook. And if you're in London, come along and say hello. Yeah, indeed. We've got loads of great guests already lined up for you. And by the way, out and about today, not so far flung, is John Breslin. He's broadcasting live from outside Michael Murphy's Sport in Letterkenny. So that's going to be a really interesting show, the usual mix of conversation and music, of course. But if you are in and around Letterkenny, why don't you go along and say hello to the team? Right, we're going to go into the garden now with Paul McLaughlin, who's a gardener at Ballochder Garden Centre. Thank you for joining us, Paul. How are you keeping today?
Not so bad. Living life in that good weather.
Yeah, indeed. That's microphone. Which one's that? Let me see. 1, 2. Hello? Hello? No good. Let me try that one.
Hello?
That one. Yeah. No, none of them. Okay, what are we going to do? Switch this microphone, maybe? Yeah. It's not ideal, but it'll do. What about now?
Hello?
God, we are professionals, aren't
yes.
we? Right, we'll swing that one out of the way. Right, so when's the grass going to stop growing on border cutting it?
Grass couldn't stop cutting pretty much around the first frost and that sort of thing. So you could be, it'll slow down from now on. Even that very warm weather there will knock some of the stuffing out of it. So, but pretty much up until October, almost the first frost.
I'm in Halloween mode now.
Yeah, pretty much
over. I'm
starting to wind down.
Yeah, kids back at school. Not interested in cutting grass anymore.
Funny, it's even people's flowers. You see them sort of tailing off now that they've actually sort of see the summer's passing. They're back to reality again.
Yeah, no. Well, I'm not quite at that point yet. Right. Okay. So, questions coming in all the time, of course. 08660 25,000. But a lot about gardening is about planning. Right.
Yes.
So, whilst this season's, there's still some time to run in it. We can be looking perhaps ahead. So, what? In terms of cuttings, a lot of people ask when the right time to take cuttings is. We're in the money zone now, are we?
Yeah, pretty much. Now's a perfect time to be taking cuttings, especially softwood cuttings at the minute, because you've actually you come in September now where it won't be as warm particularly, and there's still plenty of growth there, so they still should take root. So if you're sort of shrubs, hedging, anything like that there, it's worth trying to take a few cuttings.
Yeah, okay. And this is, what will happen is in spring people go, I need to do something here or whatever. This is the opportunity now for you to sort of make sure you've got plenty of growth for full spring, isn't it?
Absolutely.
And plenty of colour or whatever it might be.
There's a great sense of achievement of bringing on a plant from a cutting you've taken yourself, so you've seen it the whole way through from start to finish, basically. And it's also a good way of saving money in the sense that a lot of plants are very easily propagated. You could get some cutting to your friend from something they have.
Right, which are the easiest then?
Like the hydrangea would be where a lot of people would start. So it would be like that there. Generally, any of the hedging plants as well, if people want to start with them, like the Grisslinia, laurel hedging, all come very easily from cuttings. And stuff like lavender.
Right, okay, talk to me then about taking a hedge cutting. Is that what you were talking of, was it?
Yeah,
or a plant
much.
cutting,
pretty
softwood
much,
plant. So,
pretty much any sort of woody shrub.
Right, so we're looking at the shrub. Where do we cut?
Cut generally about 6 inches down from the tip. Sort of the plant should have a lot of tips, so any of them, preferably not one that has a flower.
Right, and then in terms of planting and spacing, for example.
Yeah, the key to taking cuttings, that sort of thing, would be put in loads, because they're costing you nothing basically. So if you put in 20, and you get 10, you're on a winner already. Basically, so put in loads, and they don't have to be that well spaced or anything.
Right, okay. And in terms of how to prepare the ground, how deep do you bury them, for example?
Pretty much it's a good idea to put them into sort of compost, into a pot where you can sort of
pot them first.
Pretty much pot them first, generally good, all right. And you can put like I say, you put like a dozen, 20 into a pot and stick them in, and like say if most of them come, you're doing well.
Does it need to be deep, or could you sort of maybe repurpose your the likes of your window pots for the winter?
Pretty much that's perfect now. Yeah.
So you can get a nice little run of them.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So it's only really a matter of keeping the moisture around the cotton as opposed to nutrients.
And where would I store that?
Store it. Generally, you can make up your own wee sort of greenhouse by putting a plastic bag over the top of the pot, and there's just some sheltered spot like in behind the garage where it's going to get some bit of light, but not particularly direct sunshine.
And do we talk then when to sort of take them out of the pots and plant them? Do we talk about that later on, or
pretty much what you would do is you put them in, and like so you can put your plastic bag over them. That sort of creates its own microclimate where the moisture goes up and sort of comes down again. So you check them every 3-4 weeks and remove any that obviously aren't doing.
Yeah.
And then you could actually gently, after about pretty much just the start of the spring, gently try a few out to see if it's rooted or not, and you'll see then. So it generally looks after itself fairly well.
Right, spring bulbs, talk to me about that.
Spring bulbs, now we're getting very close to spring bulb time. Generally it runs from sort of mid-September on to December or so. Perfect time. In the garden centre, you get a huge amount of people coming in around March time whenever they see the daffodils coming up, actually looking to get them, whereas now is the time you should be sort of thinking about your spring bulbs. You'll see the shops and garden centres will be full of them from now on, basically.
And planting them now?
Yeah, plant them now. Like I said, between now and December is perfect to be planting them. Like your daffodils, tulips, that sort of stuff. Even alliums have become very fashionable at the minute, so they'll be very good.
Yeah, so you've got September to worry about that then, really, ideally, do you?
Pretty much. Ideal time to be planting them would be sort of mid-October, because if you plant them too early, sometimes they tend to come up too early, like as opposed to coming up the end of March. It could be coming up the end of February, and then the weather's more severe on them.
Okay, so now's the time really to see what deals are available in your local garden centre.
Pretty much in the next few weeks, or even just be thinking around the garden in terms of where could you put a wee bit of stuff.
Right, okay. Hedging. We get loads of questions about hedging now. It's often about what type of hedging is good for this type of area. But in terms of planting trees, maybe if someone wants to plant a tree, what talk to me about some good hedging and trees, and now is the time to plant them, isn't it?
Yeah.
So what's a good tree that's not too invasive, its roots won't go anywhere, it comes up pretty quick and you get a nice bit of colour?
Pretty much a good tree. Our most popular tree down there would be the flowering cherry by a mile, so it would. Very good tree. They tend to get to about 12-15 feet around that, so they don't get huge, so they're perfect for a garden. And you get flowered some stages of the year, generally around the start of May or something.
And what size is that when you plant it?
Generally you'd be buying them in the region of maybe 8 feet.
And then how quickly do they sort of take and start looking established?
Yeah, pretty much within 2 years. They should be looking fairly established.
It's too long for me. That's why I don't plant trees.
Well, we can tell you a ready grown one as well, but with the size going up, the money goes up hugely as well.
I know, I have notions, but and where do people plant the likes of that? In the middle of their lawn, or where do you find people might plant a tree like that?
Pretty much generally it's supposed to depend on the garden pretty much, but a lot of people are going sort of for an avenue effect up the sides of the driveway, if you know what I mean. That's pretty popular. And lately, the last few years, people are actually sort of trying to naturalise trees through their gardens a bit more, in the sense that you just put like 3 or 4 over here and 3 or 4
Wouldn't
over there.
Wouldn't it be nice? Maybe
and make it look quite natural, you know.
Okay, that sounds like actually something that's something to make mowing a little bit more difficult. Right, so trees and hedges also now is a good time to get the hedge in.
Yes, now is perfect. If anybody's establishing a new garden, that's generally the first thing we would advise people to do is sort of get your hedges established, and that generally sort of defines your garden and sort of creates a windbreak then for anything that's coming along. So good species if you're looking for evergreen, like the Gristlinia would be our most popular hedge, or laurel there, or even coming in now to the berried season from December. A lot of people are going for more natural sort of informal hedges now, with the likes of the thorns.
Just with an open collared shirt, that type of stuff.
Absolutely, yeah.
No
just chilling out around the garden. So they are. But the likes of the thorn hedges and sort of more like the flowering currant, that sort of thing, more is probably better for biodiversity and stuff.
Right, now I kind of written off summer, but I'm kind of joking in doing so. Lots of there's still people with lots of colour there and lots of flowers. So you can extend how long you can enjoy that, and even maybe more flowering to come. So is this back to making sure they're well watered, dead-headed? It's still, in other words, it ain't over, even though I kind of pretend it is.
Yes.
There's still plenty of time, perhaps, well, not plenty, but some more time to enjoy your summer flowers.
Yeah, no, absolutely. If the weather's good now up to Halloween, you should easily have your summer flowers right up to Halloween. The idea is people do get a bit, like yourself, people do tend to get a bit weary of the whole watering ritual and that sort of thing, so it's easy to tail off. So if you just keep that up and keep deadheading, it will keep fresher flowers coming on.
Yeah, because, today is the last really nice day, and I don't want to sound miserable, but, I think our attitudes change wild quickly, and I'm sure you see the patterns in the garden centre when people come in and go out. It's going to get a wee bit more windy, a bit more rainy. The low pressure's going to hang around for the next week or so, and we just don't know what
Absolutely not. Like if you're in the habit of watering your flowers in the evening time, that's if it's raining one day outside, it's hard to motivate yourself to go out and do it.
But enjoy your garden while you can, because it's very good for you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, okay. Feeding. Now is a good time. We talked about, I suppose, planting trees and hedges, but maybe ones that are established or were planted last year or the year before, they need a wee boost for the winter now, do they?
Yes, now is the perfect time to give them a good feed, because there's still a bit of growth left before the winter hits, basically. So general purpose feed, preferably organic if you can, such as our old-fashioned
chicken
poultry manure. Yes,
okay.
We'll do the trick. Or seaweed's becoming more popular.
Yeah,
you can get a granule farm now as well, which would be very good for feeding.
Is that kind of slow release stuff as well? Is it?
Generally, any of the organic stuff releases over about 3 months.
Yeah, that's what you want, isn't it?
Pretty much put it on now and then do it about St. Patrick's Day again.
Yeah,
when you're flying.
It's nice because you can chill then.
Yeah.
Can I still plant some peas, sugar snap peas, and runner beans indoors for outside growing, or is it too late for the season? Do you think?
Planting peas and beans and that sort of stuff at this time of year, I would tend to not actually start them inside. I would actually pretty much now into October, you can start them from seed outside. Just plant in the peas now, because they are frost hardy. So the problem is if you start them indoors, they might get sort of spoiled and that, and put them outdoors, they might sort of go backwards. Whereas if you start them outdoors next month from seed, you'll actually be grand. You'll have a nice harvest early next spring. All
right. Any chance my lavender would recover if I cut it to the base? I forgot to trim it last year. Now, if a lot of woody stems, help.
Yes,
they declare.
Pretty much cut it back a bit. If there are a lot of woody stems, if you cut them back to like almost pure timber, it's going to struggle to recover. So what I would do is sort of the fresher stems this year, I would cut them back by about half, and it should rejuvenate itself. And if you did that over the course of a couple of years.
All right, any questions for Paul? Get them into us right now. We're going to take a quick break. It'll give you a chance to get the phone out or pick the phone up. 086 60 25,000 WhatsApps or texts. So give us a call on 07491 25,000. Or if you're watching on social media, drop your question into the comments box and we'll try and get to it before we wrap up.
You're all living your best lives now, aren't you?
That's right. Andrea got a new car with heated everything. Greg's finally having his horse-themed wedding. I'm getting the bathroom redone. It's a waterfall rain shower.
This mightn't be your life, but with a loan from An Post Money, you can live your best life with Ireland's lowest rate on loans over 20k. Apply now at onpost.com/loans. An Post Money, your money for your world. Lending criteria, T's and C's apply. New applications only. Info correct July 14, 2022. Source CCPC for Ireland's lowest rate. An Post acts as a credit intermediary on behalf of Avantcard DAC. An Post trading as An Post Money is authorised as a credit intermediary by the CCPC. Avantcard DAC trading as Avant Money is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
Do you currently have vacancies that need urgently filled? Have you tried various ways to find new staff but didn't succeed? Let Highland Radio help you source and fill your current vacancies in the most cost-effective way. Simply sign up to our new job spot and we will tell our listeners about your vacancies both on air and online. Every Monday, Wednesday and Friday during our primetime shows, we will broadcast the latest job opportunities across the Northwest and into counties Derry and Tyrone. All job listings will be available online at highlandradio.com. For more information, contact the advertising team on 07491 25322 or email advertising@highlandradio.com. Highland Radio, we're here for you.
It's the Right Price Tiles and Wood Flooring 70% off sale. Get up to 70% off on all your purchases. Up to 70% off all tiles, all wood flooring, all bathware. Everything's reduced in store. The 70% off sale at Right Price Tiles and Wood Flooring. Stores nationwide. Sale ends Sunday.
Join us on Highland for the concluding round of the group stages in the Donegal Senior Championship this Sunday. There's still a few places to be sorted out in the battle for the quarter-finals and who drops to the relegation playoffs. There's 8 games on Sunday, with the Battle of Naomh Conaill and Gweedore our feature match. We'll also have reporters at the other key ties. The championship on Highland is with Highland Motors Letterkenny, main Citroën dealer in Donegal. The new C5 Aircross gives you absolute comfort and style. Now available in diesel, petrol and plug-in hybrid. Test drive yours today.
Okay, just a reminder for you, John Bresson, around the Northwest live from outside Michael Murphy Sports. If you're in the area, go down and say hello. Right, okay. Have you got your headphones there? If you bang them on for us, yeah, good stuff. Because Mary has a question for you. Mary, a very good morning to you.
Hello.
Hi. Your question for Paul,
Hello.
Mary.
My question is, I'd love to plant some snowdrops, and I wonder when's the right time or what.
I think now's
How
about
to
the
do
right
it?
time. Paul, go ahead. 1 second, that's
Will
not
I
working.
put your mouth,
Sorry, we have problems with this microphone. Is that working now, Paul?
No, you're fine. No, you're fine.
Nope, switch back over again, sorry. It's my fault then.
Hi, Mary. What
Hello.
pretty much now, any time between now and December, you can plant away the snowdrops. You'll get them in most shops there now, but if snowdrops can be problematic growing from sort of new bulbs, if you know what I mean. So if you if you had somebody that had a wee patch that is already established and were kind enough to donate it to you, generally you have more. If you take the whole bit of clay with you as well as the bulbs, they tend to work a bit better, you know. But it's always a good idea to start out with the bulbs anyway.
And would you get them like in a, in a flower shop? Like, would they not have them started out, with the bulbs?
No,
sometimes you get them.
Sometimes all right, but it'd be quite rare to have snowdrops started in a shop, if you know what I mean.
It looks as if the snowdrops is out for me. It sounds too complicated.
Well, hold on, No, let's start again. We're going to have to get Mary some snowdrops. So,
See a rhododendron bush.
Yes.
How would you go about that now? Because I love them, but I love looking at them, but I can't.
Funny that you'll get established in the garden centre, no bother. So you can, generally you get 10, 12 different types in any garden centre there that you have different sort of sizes, and ones will grow to different sizes, full range of colours.
This is a good time of the year for anything.
That's a perfect time to be planting your rhododendron because that'll flower up now.
I'm thinking of a lilac tree, like I'm all business, but like.
Very good, very good.
You've got great notions. You've great notions, Mary. It's just what. I know, but come here, let's not give up on the snowdrops yet. So what should Mary do with the snowdrops? Let's say she can't get them off a friend who's got them established. So how does Mary have snowdrops for the spring?
Pretty much just follow the directions in the packet, but what you do is generally a snowdrop bulb is quite a small bulb.
Yes.
So you're just going to set them just kind of below the surface. So you are planting a snowdrop bulb. It's a good idea to actually shake a wee bit of cayenne pepper over the top of it or something like that there just on top of the surface because mice are clean mad about them. So they'll go digging for them in the garden, you see. So if you actually put the pepper over the top of them, it'll sort of deter them from going near it, basically. But the problem with a lot of snowdrops is it's very hard to get the native Irish one. So it is, that would be sort of naturally in people's gardens. A lot of ones coming in from Spain, and they can be very hard to establish. Just.
Yeah, they're not as hardy as the Irish one.
Seeds inside my luck with it, sure.
Absolutely, hopefully it'll work out.
And you can get the bush established, so that's that. You've got that done, and try the bulbs and see how you get on. I am fascinated now to see what happens with your snowdrops, Mary, so don't forget about us. Let me know.
I'll let you know, because I'm dying to have them.
I just see you running across the garden, snowdrop bulbs in one hand, tub of cayenne pepper in the other, and Paul in your mind.
There'll be snowdrops up to the mountain top.
That's the job.
All right, it'll be like good luck to you. Bye. It'd be like a landing strip. Okay. How often should I feed my tomato plants now they're bearing fruit and they also have flowers? I use a liquid seaweed feed like the one sold in a certain garden centre.
Yes, the liquid seaweed generally chatting 10 to 14 days. Around that's perfect for feeding them. Anything more, you run into the danger of giving them too big a boost, and the tomatoes can actually split on you because they grow too fast almost. So 10 to 14 days is perfect.
Why is my grass going yellowish at this time of year?
Grass going yellow at this time of year is possibly actually the heat that's doing it. So it is. You see in the news there around sort of southern England there, a lot of the grass is just burnt up, if you know what I mean. So pretty much just. By the chat of the weather forecast, there's plenty of rain coming, so it should repair itself.
Yeah, and I suppose, like, nature is nature. We will talk to each other about, it's very warm at the moment, and we kind of have to adjust our lives and our clothing. I'm not equating us to grass, but nature is developed in such a way that it expects certain things at certain times, so it's going to react, isn't it?
Absolutely, and I reckon with climate change that we're just going to have to get used to sort of
yellow grass.
Pretty much warmer weather, and plants is going to take a long time. Like ourselves, plants will take a long time to adapt.
All right, can I set wildflowers now for next year?
Yes, if you get autumn sown wildflowers, now is the perfect time to be setting them all right.
Autumn sown, so
exactly,
it's a specific...
Yeah, you do get spring sown, autumn sown. Generally, people get more success with the autumn sown. So now is the perfect time to be getting established for it.
All right. When should I deadhead hydrangeas?
Deadhead hydrangea, there's sort of two schools of thought on it. Generally they'll be flowering now, and the flowers should last up to late November or so. If it was my garden, I'd be sort of clipping them off then, because they're the deadheads look kind of untidy, so I'd be trimming them up. Whereas the likes of my mother there would swear by leaving them on, because it actually keeps the frost out of the crown of the plant.
Tempted to go with your mother on this one.
Yes,
You've caused enough rows amongst sisters and families and
absolutely. No, my mother would always leave them to the springtime, sort of February, March, and cut them off. So, a matter of opinion, but generally you won't do any harm by taking it off early, but a lot of people would recommend leaving it on into the spring.
How do I plant a monkey tree? We're very open and near the sea.
Monkey puzzle trees are very, very impressive plants. So they are take generally about 100 years to get to maturity or so. So they would be generally you can buy them in the garden centre.
I thought the cherry blossom was going to be a problem for 2 years.
All right, no monkey puzzle trees like Snewdon's College in there have one. I think was planted in 1906. And it's not even at maturity yet, whenever the school was established, if you know what I mean. But lovely plants whenever they do get going. The only thing I would be worried about it in terms of the coastal thing of if you have a sheltered spot in the garden, it'd probably be grand. But it's the fact that you could be looking at this thing for 20 years and get a sudden winter storm with salt water off the sea, and you would be you could lose it. But no, definitely I think if you had a sheltered spot, that'd be worth a try.
Okay. Hydrangea, it hasn't flowered, wasn't cut back last year. When can I cut it back now, please?
Once again, like you're deadheading of it there. Cutting it back now is not going to do any harm, but you're going to lose any chance of getting flowers on it this year, which I don't think you will if they haven't sort of shown themselves yet. But you could give it a cut back now or in early spring.
All right, listen, the time has caught up on us, Paul. Thanks as always.
Yeah, no bother. Thank you.
Paul McLaughlin, gardener at Ballochder Garden Centre. Thanks for your time and thanks for answering all the questions. We look forward to seeing you soon. Okay, we'll be back with more on the programme after a quick break.
Build a better future with a digital transformation course. With digital transformation courses from Advanced Centre, you can improve the way we work together and do business. The power behind 3 of Ireland's leading universities, UCD, ATU Sligo and TU Dublin, have combined to offer flexible, accredited digital transformation courses, from individual modules to full programmes. Starting in September, your future is enrolling now. See advancedcentre.ie.
A fundraising dance in memory of Mary McCann will take place Friday 2nd of September in the Halfway House Burnfoot, with music by Jimmy Buckley, dance support act Sister Act. Spot prizes on the night, doors open 9:30, tickets €15 pay at the door, with proceeds to the Donegal Hospice.
I can't stop thinking about them. I keep rereading their old texts.
Brian, this has gotta stop. It's been months, and they send those alerts to everyone. You know that, right? Look, your bank is leaving, but you gotta get back out there. Listen to me, any bank would be lucky to have you, especially Bank of Ireland.
Really?
Yeah, they've even put together a simple step-by-step guide to moving banks and have a dedicated team on hand to help. Even an ending can be a new beginning. To start finding your new banking partner, download our step-by-step guide to moving banks. Search Bank of Ireland Big Move. Begin.
Bank of Ireland is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
What's your dream job? Lawyer, engineer, criminologist, or software developer? Do you want to develop renewable energies, create the next great drama, or improve people's health? Anything is possible at Ulster University Magee campus, where you can study in the heart of Derry, Londonderry. Clearing places are now available to help you realise your ambitions. It's time to say hello future. Apply now for September 2022 at ulster.ac.uk.
Donegal Local Development Company is hosting a showcase event called Celebrating Donegal Business in the Clanry Hotel, Letterkenny on Saturday the 10th of September from 12 noon to 4 p.m. This event is free to attend and features the very best in local businesses. Find your perfect tradesman, beauty product, gift idea, outdoor adventure and much more, all in one place. Come along and support your local businesses on a day that's guaranteed to be fun for all. There's lots of spot prizes and face painting for the kids. Make Celebrating Donegal Business your business this September the 10th. For more information, visit dldc.org.
It's Aldi's best value back to school event ever, with up to 65% off fresh fruit and veg offers. Fun-sized bananas was $1.49, now 69 cent. Clementines was $1.99, now 69 cent. Pin Kids apples was $1.99, now 99 cent. Red grapes was $1.99, now 99 cent. Close cut mushrooms was 99 cent, now 49 cent. And microwavable baby potatoes was 89 cent, now 49 cent. Aldi have savings after savings after savings. Just saying.
With selected models readily available, it's time to treat yourself to a brand new car. Our Nissan lineup is unbeatable in their class. Call today or visit us in Letterkenny or Malin, or visit imotors.ie.
Hello, Greg Hughes here, inviting you to join us for a special 2-hour show this Sunday as we broadcast live from the London Irish Vintage Club's 10th annual Vintage Day on the grounds of Tyrconnell Gales. We've loads of special guests, live music and plenty of crack. That's this Sunday, live on Highland Radio from 12 noon, or watch the show on our website, YouTube or Facebook. And if you're in London, come along and say hello. And that's exactly what we're about to talk about now. After a 2-year absence due to the COVID pandemic, the London Irish Vintage Club is celebrating its delayed 10th anniversary charity day this coming Sunday. It's at the on the impressive setting of the Tyrconnell Gales grounds at Berkeley Avenue in Greenford in London. The organiser of it is Donegal man Brendan Vaughan, who joins us now. Brendan Tiny Vaughan. Good morning, Brendan.
Good morning.
Are you on site?
Thanks for having me on.
No, it's our pleasure. Are you on site as we speak?
We're on site, yeah. I'm just looking at 2 brand new JCB forklifts that Flannery's Plant Hire and Wembley have kindly supplied us for the next few days, you know. And I'm sitting in Paul O'Donnell's pickup, who's giving the end of that. We're just setting up the stages first, and then we'll work around them, you know. And it's lovely weather for the moment, but there's a couple of spots of rain maybe on the way at the weekend, but we're not going to worry too much about that.
Yeah.
We're well used to rain in Donegal.
Exactly. I think between most of the afternoon, it looks like it's going to be dry in that area. But as you say, light drizzle, it's not going to put anyone off. So talk to us about this event, because it's unique. It is a vintage, Irish vintage club day, but it draws in people from all different communities in and around the area. It really is quite unique in London. Well, not necessarily unique, but rare anyway, at the very least.
It is rare. I mean, I came up with the idea 12 years ago. My old fella, Paddy Vaughan, we used to get an old tractor and he'd be footing about it. And I had a good interest in tractors. And that really started with that. I said to myself, geez, a lot of boys in London got tractors, like Sir Tony McGovern and Tommy James, who's people from Trenta, you know, different Paul O'Donnell, Podtrack, and Martin McCarran, John McDade, people like that. You know, I've left out a few that I can't. There's too many Donegal lads that have vintage vehicles. I mean, Martin McCarran is a Model T Ford. You want to see the condition of it. You've probably seen it the last time.
Yeah.
And you know, there's a lot of interest here and a lot of support. And we cannot. It's like anything. It's like the Donegal Hospice calendar or anything. You cannot do anything without the generous support of the people of Donegal and the wider Irish community here in London as well. Because this is not just a Donegal Day, this is a big Irish Day. And we get, I was just on the radio there to Midwest talking about it as well. And this is a big community day here in London, and we're going to try and raise as much money. For example, one of the charities is a horse riding school down the back of the Scrubs prison, where is for disabled children, and Pace Hospice is another one. And we're going to try and raise as much money as we possibly can. And also we're going to make a donation to the family of Tom O'Halloran, who was brutally murdered down the road at Greenford there a week ago. And I used to see Tom down there on the mobility scooter, and the poor fella just raising a few pounds for the Ukrainians, and he gets stabbed, and they take the money off him at 87 years of age.
It was just the most.
That's not a very nice.
It was just the most horrendous story, and he was held in such high regard. Even though he'd left Ireland so long ago, his Irishness shone loud and clear. And as I say, it not only what he did in terms of, I think he played the squeezy box a bit and was well known for that. That's and would know to sing a song, raising money for other people when he could have been at home watching TV or something, you know. And also apparently a great, you know, if someone was walking down the street and wanted to chat, he was there to chat to them. He really was a really important part of that community. I wasn't aware it happened so close to where this event is being held, but it's lovely that a donation is being made to his family. Most of his family is still living in Ireland.
We'll make a donation out of it. We have an auction on the day, and you know, we've lots of good prizes, and whatever we will give a good donation towards whatever it is, the funeral expenses or whatever.
Seems to be a lot of people travelling over from Ireland as well.
Well,
Tiny, does that always happen, or is that particular this year?
Well,
I think half of Carrick going.
We have one of your very own going over anyway, David James, and then we've got Union Jim McFadden with Councillor Niall Brainey, and Brian McCracken there at the shopping centre, Gary Martin, and we have the famous man himself, Packy Bonner. He's coming over. Me and Packy used to play in county vocational school team together, along with Anthony Malloy and a lot of other characters. But we have all them coming as well, and
Nathan Carter, did you mention him? He's up on stage as well.
Oh, he's up on stage.
Mary Rose is going to be performing live. There's a second stage which is going to highlight the trad musicians, Irish dancers.
That's right. Martin Murray from Tipperary, he's looking, maybe I'm wrong in saying that, to say that it's a good hurling county anyway, it's Tipperary, Kilkenny, and he's looking after that anyway, and we have Hilary Owens looking after dancing, and Colette Keaveney is bringing on traditional music players as well. We have 2 stages here, and it's been 2 year absence, and God only knows how many people will come, because it's 2 years since we had it, and a lot of people are coming to support us. I mean, for example, now Flannery's Plant Hire, I sent you a wee thing about it there on WhatsApp. That's worth $500,000, that simulator. You can go in and pretend you're going to drive a digger, and you learn how to drive a digger, and they're taking a state-of-the-art John Deere tractor, one of the original JCBs that Paddy Flannery from County Mayo bought 50 years ago. That's fully reconditioned, a vintage tractor, many diggers. Great supporters, the Flannerys up in Wembley, right beside Tim Kelly's office there in Wembley, and they've come down here now with, it's unbelievable, 2 brand new teleporter forklifts.
And it's not just about the machinery as well, because there's displays, traditional fair, thrashing displays, that kind of stuff. There's an awful lot going on, isn't there, around the site?
There is. Well, we have the fun fair, and we've got a tractor run, a vintage car run, and a vintage lorry run. And that's coming from Tony McGovern, who's from County Leitrim, a great supporter down the years of the Vintage Club, and we're doing that from a place called Wexham. So we have a lot on, and we have a lot of volunteers, and without the volunteers' help, we wouldn't be able to do this, and the sponsors. We've had great support. I mean, we've nearly 70,000 pulled in sponsorship just for a Vintage Day programme. That's an incredible amount of money that we have. And we had still more phone calls coming in. Can we go into the programme? You can't. We just couldn't. We have a cut-off point for the programme, and that's it. Unfortunately, we had to go with it,
Right.
But an incredible response here, and what do you call it? Thanks to Tifty for sponsoring Highland Radio as well. Tifty McGinley, he's Tifty's Tavern up in Sudbury. You might take a wee run up there after the Vintage Day.
If you give me access to your car, I will.
I'll give you a lift up. No. I'm a teetotaler anyway. And can I just mention one thing to the Donegal Association? They're doing a golf day for Fun Harps up in Hendon Golf Club on Sunday, or not Sunday, Friday.
Yeah.
Friday, and Shay Gibbons, a guest of honour.
Oh, okay.
That's being run by Tony McFadden, Damien Gillespie, and Mark Monaghan and Joe McInairn, and the money goes to the Fun Harps stadium or training facilities or whatever. There's a lot of effort goes into that as well. I'm going to take 2 hours off and go up and take a few photographs, and they might be in the Democrat next week. But it's a busy weekend here in London.
Okay.
And that's the way I'd like it to be anyway.
Brilliant, okay. And hopefully, the one thing too about if any light rain that falls, it will be nice and warm. I know that I've been contacted by many people who are living in London that are going over to it, which is not unusual. And it's not just Donegal, as you say, it's all over Ireland. I think you were on with Paul Claffey there not so long ago as well. And we look forward to broadcasting. We've got loads of great guests and some dodgy ones too, from 12 noon on Sunday to 2 p.m.
Yeah.
We're looking forward to that. People can listen on the radio. They're also going to be able to watch it on our social media as well. And you never know who might be walking past in the background. I'm sure we'll have Tiny on. We'll have to tilt the camera up a bit for him. And loads of other fun. We'll have some live music, and we're looking forward to it. And you know what? The reason why I'm keen on things like that, Brendan, and you're you're constantly tapping people up for stuff, you know, to support different causes and charities. And we all talk about what people can do for Donegal and Ireland. But, you know, sometimes it's nice to go to where our diaspora is and chat to them there and see how they're getting on, how their life is faring out, and celebrate their successes there, rather than necessarily always saying, well, when are you going to come back to Donegal? So that's why I'm glad to be involved, and I look forward to that element of it. And we'll see you soon, God willing, Brendan.
And thank you to Highland Radio and to Tifty for sponsoring Highland Radio. But thank you for coming over and just showing what Irish people in London does for their home and what we do support here and what we do. It's an unbelievable achievement. This is the 10th anniversary, even though we started 12 years ago and two years of lockdown. But thanks to Highland, and I thank everybody else for helping us out as well. All
right, Brendan, take care of yourself. That's Brendan Tiny Vaughan, organiser of the London Irish Vintage Club Charity Day. It's on Sunday the 14th of September. If you're heading over there or you have any family over there, tell them to get along to it and come and say hello to us. But we want to sort of give you the experience as well. As I say, you'll be able to watch it on our YouTube and Facebook if you want to watch it on the big screen, or listen to us on the radio or your smart speaker or however. We just, as I say, want to go over there and celebrate what we're achieving in other countries as well, and it's great to be a part of that. All right, just a quick reminder for you that tomorrow on this programme we are going to be giving away €10,000 to one of our lucky listeners who's entered the Highland Radio Mega Cash Draw. The winning ticket may well not have been sold yet. It could still be in the book, ready to be given to you. If you go on our website, highlandradio.com, it may well have been sold. You know, we don't know. Highlandradio.com, you'll see the buy a ticket there. You can buy a ticket for €10. If you have the money, you can afford it and you can have a bit of fun with it. You could win big, €10,000. That's going to be given away on my programme tomorrow. Get your tickets now, though, so you don't miss out, because when it's done, of course. You can buy, if you want, 5 tickets and get 1 free, buy 8 tickets and get 2 free. It's completely up to you. If you don't want to go on the website or can't, for whatever reason, for internet reasons or whatever, give us a call, 07491 25,000. Katie and the team will take your details, issue your ticket number. You don't have to come on the radio, by the way. If your ticket's pulled out, you've won. That's it. There's no other further things that you have to do. So buy your tickets now, get them in this big draw drum. Anyone watching can see it there. The winning ticket will be or is in there. As well as that too, by the way, just to remind you, and this is not insignificant, €2,500 will be given away on Lee Gucci's show tomorrow as well. 12.5 grand going tomorrow, and that'll be the end of our big summer mega cash draw. Buy your tickets now if you want to be included. We'll be back with you sorry, that's Friday. Tomorrow's Friday. Okay, see you Friday at 9. Friday panel, all that kind of stuff. Fionnuala and Michael are back together again for 11 to 12. From Caroline Orr and Donna Marie, who worked and produced the programme, have a great day.
Hello from Team Hope. We're the people behind the annual